Chat, I'm tired. I'm tired. And I can move today.
Making a mother
They
of
can
all
move. They can be
omelets.
hit.
Can't bread over every egg.
It's fine. It's, oh, my tea. Oh, wait, no, there's still some in the cup. We're good. Never mind. We're good. Tea's still intact. Tea's still whole. Is tired to play emergency pillows. Listen, my pillows are getting so old at this point that, like, I have two pillows, okay? I have one that is, like, much older than the other, and it's really soft and honestly kind of my favorite texture for a pillow. And then I have a slightly harder one. I would not describe this as a hard pillow. It's still kind of a soft pillow. But it has like this weird permanent curve to it for some reason. And I don't mean that like curves into the center. I mean, it's like a half pipe for some reason. And it's not one of those, what are they called? Like memory foam ones that like actually is half pipe shaved. It's a regular pillow that for some reason is just now half pipe shaped. And I don't know why. A fish ladder leaderboard since month will end before return. Will it? Oh yeah, technically it will. Let me see real quick. Let's get the screen. And then we're gonna need the fishing game. Yes. Leaderboard. We have to wait for whoever's fishing right now. We have to wait. We can check it. We'll see how close it is. I think Sunstar's still gonna be stupidly in the lead, more than likely. Not yet. Yep. Jesus. Jesus. That second and third place split. Good Lord. You get to fish once every minute. Also, we have over 20,000 total catches. That's fucking crazy. That's insane. All right, let's put that back. But how are you doing today, chat? What trouble are you getting into today? What shenanigans are you up to? Still only 3K? What does that mean, Sunstar? What did you mean by that? I need time away from the net. I thought of entirely different pillows. You fucking nerd.
What's your pleasure? What's your fear?
Usual migraine issues, relatable. Hi, Plush. Hi, Void. Thank you for doing your season pass. Holy shit, 31 months? Jesus. Just get 3 legendaries and it's Jover for Sunstar? True, but that would also mean that that you would have to let Beef get some fishes in without you immediately trying to do it. What do you mean, Sammy? What's the deal? Who are you? Why are you calling me twin? I don't know you. Explain yourself. I'll wait. That is barely English. Is this Zoomer humor? This feels like Zoomer humor. Start digging in your butt, twin. Anyway. Just need some good cast. Yeah, Ordain, I'm on the same boat. I'm on the same boat. I tried so hard to catch Sunstar. Technically, if you donate bits, every 100 bits is a cast, up to 10. If you donate 1,000 bits, if you give 1,000 bits, you get 10 free cast instantly in the queue all at once. Actually, let me double check that. I'm pretty sure those are the numbers I set it to, but let me check. Okay, yeah, minimum bits. Allow players to trigger with bits, 100 bits. No, I don't have it set for exact amount only. Multiple cast for big bits, yes. I set it to maximum, but I think what I'll do is I'll actually increase that to 100. Oh, okay, the max I can do is 25, apparently. I can't do 50? Okay, no, 25 is the highest I can do. Oh, and subs. You also cast when you subscribe. gift sub recipients get cast. Sure, why not? I don't think that was a setting last time I checked. Allow players to trigger a cast with a gifted sub. Each gifted sub will get one cast. Well, I can't change that number. It can only be one, but I don't feel like spending $5 or $6 for one gifted sub for one cast is worth it. I think the bits is the better one. Okay. What if I change the minimum to 50? Because then it would be every 50 is a cast. Well, it depends on what you catch, Beef. Depends on what you catch. Like you could do it in 3 technically. You could do it in 3. Sunstar, you're already in line. It's delayed because I'm looking at the menu right now. Oh no, wait. I think I'm gonna make this interesting. Boost chances of ultra rare fish turned on. Okay. And then mods can also use !fish plus username to force that person to fish. That's cool.
A lovely gift from the beauty up front.
Oh god, a hype train. 245? That's just a random number. Huh. Yes, save and close. I wish I could check the names in the queue, but I apparently can't. It only tells me the numbers. It only tells me the numbers. How many does that get me? Of 2. 2. Because I didn't change it yet. I didn't change it to 50. Should I change it to 50? Do you think that's more fair? Like 2 quarters equivalent? Like it's the, what is it? The like kids game? Only allow the users to queue a leader. Okay, that's if you want to check the leaderboard. Here, that's what it'll do. Where is that? Where was I just looking at that setting? Hold on, Beef. Quick queuing. There it is. All right, we'll change it to 50. Because I think I like it funnier as being like essentially a coin machine at like the local pizza place. Okay, yeah. So now every 50 bits will get you a cast. The instincts are too strong. It's a single menu. It's only a single menu. Listen, we could go play the menu game. Hey, chat, do you want to go play Where Winds Meet today? Is that what we're going to do today? Looking at the menu of a fancy restaurant I'd take her to? Listen, some fancy restaurants are nice. We switch in schedules? Wait, what do you mean?
The beauty up front.
Beef, why are you doing 245? Is that one of like the cost for bits? Because if you did 5 more bits, you would have got another cast. But those 45s that you keep throwing, those don't count towards it. It's every interval. If you did 249, it still doesn't count as 250. Oh, okay. You're just dumping all of them. I would recommend doing the like round it up to the nearest 50, just so that you could like maybe save a little of those extra ones. It's the max I can get in a bundle. Gotcha. I was gonna say, I would save that 45. If you're doing something where you're like, the, what was it? The intervals? Looks at my 0 bits. Yeah. Tech issues, calm down. It usually takes the PC reset, so yeah. The issues from yesterday are a thing that happens when I switch models and then like switch back to this model because it's hefty. Yeah. How you feeling about that, Mr. Top Bit Donator? Scientists have found people are twice as likely to give up their seat and behave better when someone dressed as Batman is present. We call it the Batman effect. Wait, that's amazing. I'm not surprised. Listen, if you basically have somebody standing there dressed as your role model or just a role model in general, people tend to act a little better. Lead singer of Disturbed, David Draymond. Oh, yeah. This is just in the playlist. Wait, Ford, weren't you the one that told me that last time, or was that somebody else? I swear somebody told me that before. That sounds familiar. What the fuck? Well then. What if someone was dressed as Mr. Rogers is standing behind you? Every single person in that fucking room better be on their best behavior. You better fucking learn. Wait, what the hell is that? Yes, yes. Fuck learning. But you gotta learn, Ordain. Learning's important. Learning is extremely important. What if there's someone dressed as... Okay, I did read that. Trying to get Time Splitters Rewind to work on... I think Time Splitters Rewind. Is Rewind the remake? No, no. Well, let's just say I'm disappointed then. Y'all are not going to embarrass me in front of Mr. Rogers? You're going to learn the hard way what happens when you do embarrass me in front of Mr. Rogers. You're about to get in some serious fucking trouble. But, chat, what are we going to do today? Actually, I can think of one thing we need to do today, and I've done this, I think, every Thanksgiving week since we started streaming. Chat, who knows who Alton Brown is? Who knows who Alton Brown is? It's time, chat. That's exactly it. The Good Eats man. Because there's a special that used to run every single year of Good Eats around Thanksgiving on how to make the perfect Thanksgiving turkey. And it has been the equivalent of a tradition in this household to, what's the word? Watch it around Thanksgiving.
Scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
Anyway. All right, chat. Hold on, I need to change the audio settings. Let me catch a 3K son. Sorry, you're fine. Listen, in case you want to know how to cook one of the worst birds on the planet. Religiously growing up, I did too. I loved watching Good Eats. Okay, that is so loud.
This humble bifold of fine American aluminum is actually the answer to one
Young
of
Alton Brown.
turkeydom's greatest questions. Namely, how do you thoroughly cook dark meat, which we like at about 180 degrees, without overcooking the white meat, which we like to pull at about 161?
Nostalgia bomb, you will remember. You will feel old because there's something else I need to show you after this chat.
Jigsaw puzzle. You could butterfly your bird like we did the chicken in our classic episode, A Bird in the Pan, but you need
There's something else I need to show you after this. This is only about 4.5 minutes.
The answer is the turkey
Are
triangle.
you still up here?
And the secret is to form fit it before you actually need it. Just rub a little canola oil on the inside so that it doesn't stick.
You can also do butter.
Just
I
mold
recommend
it to
doing
the
butter
breast,
instead.
Kind of like a breastplate in a bad Wagner opera. Like that.
Bad Wagner
The point
opera.
of doing this ahead of time is so that when we really need it later,
Yeah, dark meat. You don't know
have to
the
squeeze
different
it
kinds of
onto a
meats in certain
500-degree
birds.
bird. There.
Turkeys are just one of
Now,
the few
the last
birds that
step
has
before we go
both
into
light
the
meat
oven
and
is
dark
a
meat.
quick canola rub down. A little bit of oil is going to promote brown.
Oh, here's Aunt Pam.
Aunt Verna.
Verna!
What are you doing?
Rampant roaster.
I was just lowering your oven, dear. You had it set too high.
No, Aunt Verna. I start my turkeys in a ripping hot 500-degree oven because you need dry, intense heat to brown the skin.
No, dear. Low and slow is the only way to go.
No, actually, low and slow is no way to go. I mean, low and slow, the fat layer just melts and rolls off without browning the skin. A longer cooking time means drier meat. No,
Shut up, Salvador. You're ruining my surprise. Shut up. Shut your fucking mouth.
Drop the heat to 350 and
Sunstar,
cook until the
shoot that bitch.
thermometer says 161. Then you rest it, you carve it, you eat it, and take a nap.
I'm free. Turkey, literally.
Never liked you much anyway.
Never eaten dark meat? Wait.
My childhood questions just got.
Wait. Nope, never eaten dark meat. What's another bird that has dark meat? Have you had duck? Duck is entirely dark meat. Chicken is light meat. Chicken is basically all white meat. Turkey is this weird in-between. Duck is so good, dude. Duck is so good. Especially at the end of the series where he explains every one of the characters. It was great. Hell yeah.
Answered. Roasting time is finally here.
Also,
We
this
have
is from
our
like,
500-degree
what,
oven,
2000?
and I like to put my turkeys in legs first.
2003?
Since the dark meat can take a little bit more heat and doesn't dry as easily. Now, I'm more concerned with time right now than temperature, so I'm going to use the timer function.
Also, my dad was such a big fan of Alton Brown. He had this exact same thermometer.
So far, all of our times and equations
He specifically had tried to find that exact same thermometer.
From the stuffing. Besides, we got something.
What are your thoughts on turducken? I think it's a little bit extra, but it could be made really good.
Half an hour up already.
Wait. What was that book called? Was that On Food and Poisoning? Oh, On Food and Cooking. Okay.
Half an hour up already. Time for the turkey triangle. Oh yeah, we've got a lot of great color already.
Ooh.
Definitely time to cover up the breast so that it won't.
Gorgeous baby.
Pre-tailored turkey triangle goes on. Just tuck that corner up under the probe.
Nothing is single use beyond the fire extinguisher?
Back in she goes.
Yes.
Or he.
Correct. I hate using single use stuff because I think it's a waste of resources.
50 degrees. Since the cooking ain't over till the fat thermometer sings, you want to keep this door
Which is
closed?
why, like,
No.
how much packaging we
No
use
turkey
on products that is
tampering,
just
okay?
like single
Now,
use and you take it home,
14
you
pounder like our
tear it out of its
frame
packaging and throw it
probably
away. I'm like,
161
why?
degree finish line in about
Why?
another hour and a half. That'll make it a total of 2 hours of cooking.
Yes,
Granted,
hot then
not
low and
every
slow.
oven in the world is alike, and yours might take just a little bit longer. But don't worry, just listen for the thermometer. You're just in time. We've just crossed the 161 magic line. Oh, sorry. This looks great.
Had to keep out Aunt Bertha.
Exactly what we want. Good color, lots of juice. Great.
What's it, the rich person robe? Oh, about, yep, exactly. It's not a rich person, it's just a velvet robe. Like, you can find that at a lot of businesses.
So don't cut into this and don't pull
Hold on,
out the
speaking of which, also, he has a prayer rug. Do you think he knows that that's a prayer rug? Or do you think he just liked the tiny rug? Yeah, the velvet robe. The thing is, like, okay, how many people go to events now and you see the ones that are like the pull-out ones that like coil up inside and then like attach to the other one? You know the ones I'm talking about, right? They look like seatbelts almost. I think it was a mistake. I think those were a mistake. I think we need to bring back the velvet ropes. We need more velvet ropes. This time 50-50, Nell probably would know. Oh yeah, for sure. Hi, Kaida, welcome in. Why are you blinking at me like that?
Pop-up thermometer. You just want to let it rest. So while you're
I don't get to go to any events these days. Well, I mean, it's been like that. People, like, movie theaters got rid of their fucking velvet ropes.
Stainless steel bowl,
Insane.
or even a
Insane.
big tin of foil. But I find that the lid from my kettle grill wards off all poachers.
My dad had a black version of that one. All right. And you can already see it. Chat, it's time. 3 days ago, the king of cooking returned and released his very first episode of just his very generic Alton Brown cooks food. We gotta chat. Thank you for self-care, Marceline. For those seatbelt looking motherfuckers. Yeah. Retractable seatbelt things at theater. I mean, most places use those now instead of like actual velvet ropes. I miss the velvet ropes and the cool brash attachments and the fact that they were sturdy and pretty. I haven't watched it yet either, but I knew Alden Brown was coming back because I follow his TikTok page. Episode 1, The Big Bird.
Hi, Alton Brown here.
Martini time?
Back in 1999.
Hold on. Can you tell how long ago that was? Can you see the age on his face now? Also, I want you to understand, if you grew up in a household where your family watched the Food Network, think Emerald, Mario, far before Guy Fieri, and Alton Brown watching like the original Iron Chef and stuff. Dude is 30. My God, he is not 30. I think he's in his 60s now. Something like that. Wolfgang Puck. Yeah. This man is the Mr. Rogers of cooking. Like, I can't think of a single person that I would be able to place above him. Dude, I bet Alton Brown could cook the frosted tips off Guy Fieri. Wait, that's a good line. I like that. Honestly, yeah. Yeah, he could. And if you didn't know, after Good Eats ended and before now, he basically has just been like the host of like Iron Chef America. Here, real quick. Like, this was him for like Iron Chef as the host and stuff. Again, amazing personality. Great dude. Although I think this looks like it's actually a picture from one of their food contests because I think I recognize that table. Anyway. Oh, better close Twitter before I accidentally click into it at some point.
My cohorts and I capped the first season
Goodness.
of a show called Good Eats with a 1-hour special about Thanksgiving.
I like to think he's the icon of Food Network.
Which
Correct.
was a recipe for a
As much as
roast
Food Network hates it.
which included pre-cook soak.
Guy Fieri's a nice guy, though.
It was an unusual move for the time. Not a lot of brining.
Kind of, but I've also heard some things about him behind the scenes.
Not only can a brine bring extra moisture into a big piece of meat, the salt.
Please don't
that
Twitter
soaks with
flash
it
us.
can
We can't
alter the
risk it, okay?
proteins inside, so the mussels don't, well, surrender moisture quite as willingly as when they aren't brined. Also, the brine.
Also, I don't know if anybody's noticed. Did y'all notice Guy Fieri is actually in the background here? Can y'all spot Guy Fieri in the background? Did you say over there? Yeah, on the left. Oh, I wish I had a PNG for like a red circle. The chicken? No. No, it's on the left. Not the fat chicken. It's the mixer. It's the mixer on the left. Guy Fieri's right there. Look how hefty the back of that thing is. What the fuck is that?
Nicely. My hope was that the process would
Listen, okay, technically both of those are correct. I will give you that. I will give you that one.
Cooking and dryness, and judging from the comments that have accumulated.
Oh, let me give you captions because I need the captions.
Platforms over the decades, it seems to have worked out pretty well. Although I continue to dabble in turkeys through the years. Oh, there's me in '99.
Oh my God, the perfect turkey was the '99. Holy shit!
Dry cure here. I did a honey brine smoked version, fried bird. I even did a bird roasted in a Dutch oven, the size of a Mini Cooper. But I've never visited the original until today. Here in my top secret test kitchen. Zoom out. Zoom out. So palatial, thus showcasing.
Okay, this is the kitchen that he's been doing his other stuff in.
Made to the process.
If you ever see his TikTok, he does it, I think, at home, and he has like an iron wall that he hangs all of his pans on. Ooh, brine thaw. Yes. This is what I did.
Most of the turkeys consumed on Thanksgiving in
Thank you
this
for the heart
country
attack.
are purchased in the state
Also,
of
Bucky, thank you for the
suspended
20 stream
animation,
streak. Holy
referred
shit, dude.
to as
Sorry I missed
frozen.
that.
Frankly, that's fine with me.
And Ford for the
as
7 stream
raw
streak.
Birds suffer more from mishandling during shipping.
Who doesn't talk to cops? Oh, that is definitely Alton Brown.
Right after.
The thing is, and I only just realized this, like just this second. He looks like my uncle that passed away a couple years ago now. As my uncle got older, he grew this like scraggly white beard. And we would used to see him for every Thanksgiving, and now I'm sad.
Processing not so good and it arrives to you close to the same condition.
Yeah, he passed away
Of course, this
effectively spontaneously. He got a disease that's typically only found in pigeon shit, in pigeons from what was it? From South America. And this was in South Texas. He was one of 3 people that got infected and was, I think, one of the 2 that passed away. I think 2 of them died, and he was one of them. And I didn't even know he was sick. I just got told apparently like days later by the family. They're like, "Yeah, so your uncle passed away. The funeral's next weekend. We're going." Huh? This was the man that I used to go to the San Antonio rodeo with every year. The man that took me to go see, who's the guy who's saying I Can't Drive 55? And his new band, The Circle. I'm forgetting names. I'm always forgetting names. Oh, yeah. I remember the moments, like, exactly. No, you're not thinking, it's not Motley Crue. It's not Motley Crue. But yeah, this was a couple years ago. It's okay. I'm fine now. Sometimes I think about it when I'm like scrolling TikToks and I see things of people doing like memories with their family that like just passed away and stuff. And it's like, have a good cry. No, not the band name. Sammy Hagar, that's it. It was Sammy Hagar and his new band, The Circus. Not The Circus, The Circle. The Circle. Can you tell I have circus on the brain? Yeah, Sammy Hagar. I got to go see him because he was performing. My uncle specifically got the night because he knows I'm not a big fan of country music. So he got tickets for me to come visit him and go to the San Antonio rodeo. One, for the rodeo, but mainly so that we could see one of the few rock bands that was performing there. David Lee Roth, Circus on the Brain, round is the name. Damn right.
This means you gotta thaw the bird, which can take up to a week here in the refrigerator, where it's going to take up considerable.
Don't
real
do it in the
estate.
fridge
Then,
if you
of
have a
course,
frozen
you've gotta
turkey.
find something to brine it in for 24 hours. Well, I
was gonna say I did a 24-hour brine.
Fahrenheit. It's a pain, and plenty of you have told me so. The solution? Simple: thaw and brine at the same time.
Yeah. It's not that hard. It's super easy.
5-gallon water cooler. This
Classic.
one happens to be made by Igloo, a company with which I do
God, those were the
not
same
have
coolers I had in
affiliation
like
at all.
fucking high
This
school.
will easily hold a bird up to 16 pounds.
I used a bucket.
Number
I went and bought a
know,
brand new
seed,
bucket
and
from the
the
hardware
required
store
volume
to use
of
to brine my turkey.
Speaking of the brine, I'm going to add
Shirley Temple.
284 grams of the kosher salt to our cooler.
Yes, chat. You never fry a frozen turkey. And I need to know, chat, do you know why you never fry a frozen turkey? I'll give you a hint. It has to do with thermodynamics and what frying actually does to food. Yes, it's the same reason, Ordain. Because expansion, because explosion, correct. And oil is flammable. And you know what you usually have underneath a turkey fryer? An open flame. That's right. That's right, chat. Basically a bird-based IED. Yes. Yes, you do. Don't do it in the fridge. I did it in a bucket. Yeah. It was a clean bucket. I sanitized the whole fucking thing. And you know what we did to keep the bird from floating? We put a pot inside the bucket and closed the lid. Sorry, all my flames are closed. I don't know how you're frying in a turkey fryer then. I don't know what you're using to fry this turkey.
22 grams of dark brown
Now,
sugar
I didn't use
or,
brown sugar for mine.
turbinado.
I did
Then
like an
you're gonna, add
herb-based
6 quarts
brine, so I had like a whole bunch of like
hot water,
peppercorns,
stir, and,
rosemary, and a bunch of
salt
other
and
stuff
salt,
thrown in.
follow with 5 pounds
Salt.
of
I did a
ice.
salt
Stir
brine. That's
till
that's
it's
a more specific
mostly
way.
melted. Then submerge your bird breast down.
Yes.
Add the probe. If your remote probe thermometer, you do have one, right? I mean, it may be more kitchen critical than an instant read thermometer, although both would be better.
Correct.
Just to let the plug hang out for the moment. Now,
Listen, if you don't have one and you like to cook meats or even like whole birds or anything of any sort, those thermometers are your best friend. Even if you don't have a grill or, say, a smoker or anything, if you're cooking meats in your oven, get one of those thermostats. They're super cheap, by the way. You don't have to get the like ridiculously like $30+ ones. Get like a $10 one at most. At most.
the turkey is essentially a
She wants to leave it in the fridge, but will in the
gonna
bucket?
float
Oh my
like
fucking
sparks. You
God.
need something that can deliver a
Please
bit
put
of a
parentheses.
downward
In
push,
parentheses,
pressure,
please
like a
put
big
turkey at the end of
balloon,
that.
or a wad of old bubble wrap, which I always seem to have laying around, though I have no idea why. Now,
That works.
You're going to set
I was gonna say, again, you have to keep it from floating. So I used a pot. I had a small pot that I stuck inside and closed the bucket.
Bacterial danger zone.
Hey, buddy. Pickle.
Not too
Oh, no, it's bacteria.
about, bacteria with all the salt we brought to the party. Get away. It's not your show. Stash the cooler anywhere out of
Yeah,
the
well, you
way,
said it.
garage,
Oh, boy.
whatever. And if the alarm does go
You're not
off,
just here for my
before
chicken
the
nuggets,
thaw is
right?
done,
Oh my God.
just happen.
Oh
Just
my
throw
God.
in a couple of handfuls of
Yeah,
ice.
chicken
Next
nuggets.
step.
Turkey. The tress.
By the time the
A new
brine
drink
hits
every
40
time.
degrees, the bird inside the brine will still be in the low 30s, what the industry calls deep chill, but it should be pliable enough to work with. So,
Okay.
extract and just drain it well. I usually put mine in a colander. Then you're gonna lay it out and
That is still
remove
such
the
a big
giblets,
bird.
including the neck, which is usually up in the cavity, and then of course the sack of guts up where the
Are we
head
making
used to
giblets?
be.
Is he gonna
Save
show?
the
Is he
neck,
gonna show how to make?
for stocks and things like that. And of course, you can cook the rest
Ooh.
of the giblets for your dogs. Here, they like them. Now, set the bird in a
Well, yeah,
shallow
of course,
pan.
the dogs
Cut
like
yourself
any kind of meat you give
6.5
them.
feet of cotton butcher's twine, because unlike my original bird, this one gets trussed. Why? Because I've definitely found over the years that
Okay.
a bird with wings and legs akimbo cooks more efficiently than a more compact.
Can you just
uniform
imagine the
shape.
dude sitting on the floor
Also,
right now, waiting
at
for
this
the
point,
moment
I've
to,
done a
to
little,
fling his leg
little
up?
plastic wrap bib kind of action, or a trash bag would be fine too. You'll see.
Okay.
Okay, I find that trussing in a shallow pan is better than a cutting board. With the legs facing you, slide the twine under the neck at the front of the bird, and try to make sure that the center of the twine goes where the neck goes.
Ah, okay, I got you.
Go up over the wings, down the sides of the breast, cross, go underneath the ends of the legs, and then back up the breast. Now this time we're going to go over the wings again, but tuck under the little nubbin
Ooh.
on the wingtip. That'll provide a little.
He's got one job. He's gonna give it his all.
place.
Damn right
Then
he
flip
is.
Up and tie around the bottom. Now
He probably
you
makes more
see
than the
what the
average
Guinness Book is.
American
Look
for
back,
that.
you have turkey spooge all over your front. While you're here, go ahead and fabricate a breastplate, aka.
Oh, I don't remember what the quote was.
From heavy duty.
I won't do it in a fridge, but I will do it in a bucket.
To
I
prevent
think that was the quote.
breast skin from over browning, often a factor, especially
Something like
small
that.
ovens where the roof is closer to the bird. Bird secure. Time
See,
now.
triangle
for-
time. Triangle time, chat. Ooh.
For
Hi,
literally
Day.
generations, chefs, recipe writers, home cooks, home economists have tried to come up with a surefire method for delivering a bird with a deep,
Wait, is my nose bleeding?
mahogany, crisp skin. Many methods.
Oh, I'm
have
good.
been
Never mind.
espoused, from rubbing with
Not the
butter
inside of my
to
nose. I
literally
there was like some
wedging
dead
butter
skin,
under
and
the
I think I
skin,
scratched it, and then it
crushing
felt.
on molasses, and of course,
Oh wait, I take it back.
torches. My method is simple and twofold. And for one, nothing really browns better than sugar.
think I am bleeding just a
Soak
tiny
up
bit.
some of that, so, huzzah.
We'll do
The
it in a
other
bucket
is that
turkey.
Water doesn't brown very well at all, which means that dry skin browns better. You could, of course, just
Hell
pat it
yeah.
down with some paper towels.
Hell
but I
yeah.
prefer to park mine in front of a fan for, I don't know, say half an hour. 2 fans, actually.
Half an
they
hour?
recharge, and I've got like 6 of them. Now, I used to have a
Got
problem.
like 6 of them.
with this,
Jesus.
And you know, had to move the fans around a lot. But not since I added this bad boy to my kit.
Oh God, he got one of the clay
$30
things.
on the interwebs. Even has a remote control, which I've already lost. So while that spins, go ahead and remove one of your
I'm sorry, but that's the fucking realest thing. You get a new toy. It's something like really fun. Also, look at the folds inside that book. Jesus Christ. And then it's just, I got this brand new toy and I got the remote and it's already gone. It's gone like the fucking wind, just evaporated after it came out of the box. You have a nosebleed on occasion? Never tricked me, mainly because every time I was like, wait, I think my nose is bleeding on like the inside. It usually is.
oven racks and position the remaining rack in the bottom third of the box and boost the heat control.
Oh,
to
right.
500
Oh, right. He has a
degrees.
fancy oven.
Next, we
Because it's a
advance
test
to
kitchen. That knob was too fancy for me.
Should never be an afterthought, my friends.
Sir-
Indeed, gravy begins early.
Are we going to talk about the cocktail glass in the cocktail glass? Nope. Okay, moving
In
on.
the process, cut 4 medium
Gravy
carrots
first? Always
into
gravy
a
first.
half-inch moons, and then cut 1 medium length leek.
Listen, chat.
into
If your family
half-inch
is
moons. Don't
kind of
forget
like
the
one of the
mashed
simple
potato.
families that just
And,
kind of like
also quarter about
really,
4
really
ounces
basic
of
Thanksgiving.
creamed mushrooms.
And
Mix them
I've
up
seen
on a
some
sheet
friends
pan
Thanksgiving
with
where they're
a
just
roasted
like they
carrot.
throw
Now,
away
6
the
big
turkey neck and the
spoons
giblets and
of
stuff.
rosemary.
Nah, you need to learn to
Top
make
with
gravy
the
with that
cooling
bitch.
rack, okay, then that's going to go on.
It's
the oven
easy.
rack. Now go ahead and pour in a
It's
cup
easy.
of chicken or turkey stock, or
Giblets
do what I
gravy.
do and pour in a cup of white wine. To ensure that the
I was gonna say there was no way that was gonna work,
and to
Alton. Come
establish a
on.
base
You were gonna
for the
spill it
flavor of the
regardless.
gravy to come.
Oh, look at these snobby
Now
bastards.
position the bird right on the rack and go ahead
Wow.
and cook for half an hour. If you've got a vent hood, you may want to turn
I
that
would
sucker
probably
on,
honestly-
if not,
oh.
open a window because there could be smoke. But you notice that there is no stuffing in my bird. I have long held that stuffing is evil, as it slows
Well,
the cooking
stuffing's good, but
process, and that
stuffing
promotes
inside the bird
dryness,
is not good.
As does opening the door to baste, which also does literally nothing in my opinion. But
I agree,
let a
basting is
perfectly good heat
stupid.
Out of the oven. Anyway, my trussing method.
It could
leaves an
work.
opening in the back of
But
the bird
basting
so
in
that
and
you
of
can,
itself doesn't
shove
add
some,
much flavor
dressing
other
in
than
there
just
after the bird
butter.
goes out to rest and just call it stuffing.
It's just
And to
butter.
those of you who like to shove herbs in there because they make the kitchen smell pretty, may I suggest getting one of my new Thanksgiving candles, which
Not an
starts off
actual
with
candle, but it
scents of
could be.
parsley, sage, rosemary, and I
Add,
can't
not
remember the
add.
other one. And then finishes
Butter.
with aromas of celery, onion, and toasted turkey skin. Online now. Okay, after 30
But nots.
minutes, pull out the bird.
We have country gravy at work, and I raged looking at it. It's literally just the roux. Oh, you're talking about country gravy as in like the powdered gravy?
Oil now instead of earlier when we started this whole process because
I already have my
I
Blockbuster
forgot.
scented candle, but when is it going to run out?
Oops. This is also usually when I add the temperature probe. Why now and not earlier? Because no, you can if you've got a higher end probe, which I do, but a lot of probes out there do not perform well at temperature as high as 500 degrees. And even if
Okay.
they survive
That's
the
a good
exposure,
reason.
It can shorten their operational lifespan. So I'm instructing
Carnival
on the
candles
safe
win. I know a bunch of friends
now, there's
that
also
are
when
partnered
I
with
would,
candle
take a look
companies,
at
but
the
they've
top
never
of the
approached
bird,
me, so
and
I've
if it's really
just
dark brown,
I've just
add
never-
the turkey
never
shell.
bothered.
But if you want it browner, just leave it off.
I think if
for
we
now.
did do a
Keep an
candle,
eye
it
on
would be very
All
much
right,
like
since the heat's going
some sort of
down
like
to
Halloween
350
reminder
degrees,
type
and it's gonna
scent.
Stay there however long it takes for the internal temperature to hit 155.
Actual cook time will vary depending on the
Typically
weight of your
an hour and a
bird.
half, maybe 2 hours.
Trust your
depending on the
thermometer,
weather, depending on the
not
bird,
your clock.
Depending on factors. Next up.
It is a fancy knob.
When the bird hits
And 46 degrees later.
155, we extract along with the supporting veggies. Do not carve the bird, just set it someplace out of the way to rest. Maybe top it with a clean kitchen towel, but not foil.
Yeah, you
because
technically
foil
should never
holds in
carve a
condensation. That's not
fresh
good.
out of the
Now,
oven
time to
bird.
gravy. Move the veggies and all their goodness to a large saucepan or better, saucier.
The caramelized onions are basically gone. The fat has just rendered into like gelatin. Sweet Jesus.
And add a quart of good chicken or turkey broth stock. I have homemade, so I'm going to use that.
Popcorn and
Bring to
bubbling
a
blood of the
gentle
damned.
boil
Get your
over
dark
medium
carnival
high
candy
heat, then
today.
reduce to
Candles today, not
maintain
candy.
a spirited simmer. And allow that liquid to reduce for a solid 10 minutes. Then strain it through a sieve or a fine strainer and really kind of push on those solids a little bit. And you'll have, or
Oh, yeah,
should
get all
have,
that juice
a
out there.
quart of liquid. And that is perfect, okay? Then leave that alone for like 10 minutes so the fat can rise to the top. Oh, and go ahead and clean
Okay.
the saucier because we're not done with it. After 10 minutes, you should be able to
Saucier?
skim the fat off of the broth. Just use a ladle for that. You don't have to get it all. The saucier goes back over medium heat. You add 4
When is Thanksgiving?
tablespoons
This
of
Thursday.
unsalted butter and keep it
2
moving,
days.
okay? And watch the bubbles as the butter melts because as the water content cooks out, the bubbles will get kind of big.
The thing is, though, is my house right now has like a smoker and stuff, so I'm like 99% sure that whoever's cooking the turkey this year is going to be using the smoker.
Milk solids burn. Whisk in 45 grams of all-purpose flour.
Scent of the
followed by
carnival
a
will be the next.
tablespoon
Just wait till we get the
chopped
taste of the
fresh
carnival.
thyme. Keep whisking for 1 minute. There's going to be some more bubbling because the flour does contain some moisture, and of course, so does the thyme. Then whisk smartly as you slowly introduce the strained broth. And like I said, you'll have a
Okay.
quart if you don't add something. Return to a spirited simmer over medium heat and then reduce to a bare simmer.
So yeah, he's
for
he's
7
doing a vegetable-based brown
minutes.
gravy.
Whisking often.
A lot of the
You'll know
times
you're
I've done
done
this,
when the
I've
gravy
also just
reaches
added the
height, meaning that
giblets.
if you dip a spoon into it and then drag your finger across the back, the mark that your finger made will stay. And it won't be gravy thick, not yet. But don't worry, because see, as it cools,
Now he
gravy
has
is
the
going to
beer.
thicken, which is why
Whisk!
if you need to hold it for more than just a few minutes before serving, I would stash in a thermos for safekeeping rather than the gravy boat where it'll turn to a brick. Now,
Okay.
comes to the bird.
Turns to a brick.
When it comes to the bird, I always bring it out from the kitchen and present it to
He's
my
having so
guests
much
in
fun with the
all
little
its
clay
mighty
table.
splendor, just like this. And then I go back in the kitchen and get medieval on it. Honestly, carving in front of guests is just not something I should be allowed to do. Because see what I
Well,
do
yeah, because
is I use a carving knife and I remove the leg quarters and separate the legs from the drumsticks, and then I take off the wings, and then I kind of
It's basically how you carve it. It's literally you're literally carving a corpse, so of course it's medieval.
Using my electric carving knife, which I pretty much use for nothing but carving turkeys and the occasional roast. But
I was gonna say that's like the only fucking reason for an electric
stack
knife.
the
I think an
breasts,
electric knife is a fucking waste of money
on either side
of a product
plate,
from
and
like
then,
the
and then
70s
kind of
that just
working
never went away.
The wings, the drumsticks, and the thighs, and you know sometimes the thighs.
Just like saying
I cut the
giblets.
meat off
Giblets is fun to
sometimes,
say.
but I really do like to.
Like heavens to Betsy.
And it's all I eat. So I usually leave them whole. I do use a bunch of herbs around the outside because they look nice. And of course, they smell good. I do serve my gravy on the side to
In a
each
martini glass?
person in their own little bowl so they can dip, pour, do whatever they like. I also pour, speaking of, a Pinot Noir. If white is your jam, go with a Chenin Blanc or maybe a nice champagne.
There's your wine pairings,
Perfect
chats.
with turkey.
There's your wine
As for the
pairings.
turkey leftovers, the carcass, well, that's another show.
Well, no, both of those wines are very cheap. Like a Pinot Noir, and what was it? Here, go back.
If white is your jam, go with a Chenin Blanc.
Chenin Blanc. Like you can find those for like $20 bottles at most liquor stores in the US, at least. Duff Goldman carves cakes with those knives. What? If you're using an electric knife on a cake, your cake is too fucking hard. We know you carve up the occasional person with the electric carving knife. No, I like more hands-on. I like being hands-on. Do we need to talk about Tinderism? Is that it? Is it time for Tinderism?
I just know. I just want to see if they
Just gone. I cook my food.
tender ain't the word. I don't think we was playing though. See this brisket here? But Look at him. This
Also, this is the man that owns the barbecue restaurant that we keep seeing here.
See the clarity on him. Look. Huh? I told you. Let's see what happens. And then, you know, shake a little bit.
Just fucking chunks them. Yeah, that's the kind of tenderness we're aiming for, chat. That's the Tinder that I make here. Not always. That's a lot of work. Especially for barbecue to be that tender. Hi, old man. Thank you for the self-care. They're celebrating or they're angry? Celebrating. It's like this weird, like, that should be illegal type celebration. If that makes sense. But, chat, now we have to raise the question. What are we doing the rest of the day? We can't do the new Alton Brown stuff all day, can we? I mean, do we want to do food stuff today? Do we want to do something else? Originally on the schedule, we were going to play oneway.exe. But I figured because we're only having 2 streams this week, I think today I'll let y'all decide. Chef's Club, that's the Wheel of Punishment. That is only for the Wheel of Punishment. Fall Off the Bone barbecue is so fucking good. Wait, what did Hex say? Use an electric knife just in case it isn't cake? Huh? Why don't you check it with a regular knife first? Food and Cozy? I feel like our meal is kind of cool. Oh. Did your state like update what their driver's license looks like? There was an extremely painful appearance by Alton Brown. Wait, which one? Wait, what do you mean? Cake or corpse? Oh, God. How do you make a corpse look like a cake perfectly? Or we could do the heinous thing and watch the 4-hour and 20-minute Disney's Living Characters, A Broken Promise by Defunctland. We could, chance. Or we could go watch Tasting History with Max Miller and their new How to Eat Like a Medieval Peasant. Geek and Sundry show and it was a fucking train wreck? Ooh. Wait, how bad was it? Was it because of the like Geek and Sundry people or was it because of something Alton did? Change state licenses? Oh, that makes sense. Didn't Geek and Sundry go under after Critical Role left? What about the Defunctland video? Yeah, 4 hours and 20-minute Defunctland video. So bad it was the Geek and Sundry people. Yeah, I've heard they're like, I've seen their stuff that wasn't Critical Role, back when Critical Role was on Geek and Sundry. And it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Between Critical Role and the rest of Geek and Sundry's productions, it falls off so fucking fast. Like, if Critical Role is a 10 on everything, everything else for Geek and Sundry at best is a 6. Which one, Ordained? Is it the combos? The one that accidentally made Sunstar the #1 bit donator of the week? Kind of shocking how deep the quality dip was. Yeah. It was mainly because they were like self-funded. Most of them were. They were just all on a network together. But each one was technically self-funded. It was also depressing to see the number disparity on Geek and Sundry's Twitch channel. When it was a... what was it? When it was Critical Role versus any of their other programs, it would go from like thousands of viewers to like maybe 100, maybe 200. It was unfortunate. You could tell Alton was pissed and wasn't having it. Were they trying to meme while he was there? Because like Alton's very much like an intellectual in the moment kind of guy. So like, while he is silly on occasion, he's still very much like, it's always relevant to his stuff as opposed to like Zoomer memery when they're trying to do something. It's really annoying. It's why I don't like certain like doing certain things with certain people. is because they think they're being funny in like a here's an introduction to a certain thing kind of way, and then it just turns into a weird brain rot side tangent. As a Doctor Who Time Lord? Wait. Hold on. Where's this picture? Well, no, I don't have it, but there is the joke that Alton Brown is the Time Lord. Geek and Sundry. Any pictures from this? Nope, literally none. What happens if I go to all? Cat Lady Game the Game? No, that can't be right. Like, no, Geek and Sundry is just like tabletop games. Was the one of the Mythbusters guys? Adam Savage? It's okay, that sounds like something could be Adam Savage. Then Alton Brown. Today, wait. I vote for Mythbusters Alton Brown Thanksgiving episode. Can you imagine having Adam Savage and Alton Brown standing next to her? Have you voted for the Game Awards? No, because I don't care. Yeah, he makes jokes, not memes. He does bits, not memes. Push-up time. Oh, man. Oh, man. All right, we'll do it during the ad break. I think for the ad break today, I'm just going to give y'all the fishing game. I think y'all are just going to get the fishing game. Also, real quick, while we're sitting here, I'm going to go double check if there's any other episodes that would be relevant to Thanksgiving. No, we watched The Water Pie the other day. Do we want to do the Medieval Peasant or do we want to do like pumpkin soup? Apple pie from 1390. Huh. No real iPad time? Would you rather have the other games? I can do that. Here, let me get... We'll figure out which one we'll do. Let's do Gardic on stream. Load debut. All right. It always takes so long to load for some reason. All right, that's set up. Means we can put this away. Mythbusters Alton Brown episode is them driving in Central California cooking things. I do remember that one. I have seen that one. Yeah. Was that... Were they all together? Season 10, episode 20, Food Fables. Alton Brown appears in Mythbusters. He teams up with the Mythbusters to investigate food-related myths, such as cooking lasagna in a dishwasher and making a meal under a car's hood. Episode also explored the effects of turkey's tryptophan and tested whether various things taste like chicken. Oh, tryptophan was the you eat turkey, you fall asleep kind of thing. The DMV, I am so sorry. Shoots the AI-looking horse of the new Twitch thingy. Is it a horse just looking straight ahead? Is that what it is? That's probably what it is, I'm guessing. Oh my goodness. All right, chat. Do we need to make a poll I'll probably make it last over the commercial break? Oh my goodness. All right, let's get the screen down. Boop boop, because the ad breaks will start any second. I can't believe I get... Wait, is it an AI horse? Let me see real quick. Let me go see if I can like find it in somebody else's channel. We'll just pick Buff Pup, because I'm sure Buff Pup got the beta. No? Do I need to go to my own channel, I guess? Okay, yeah, there it is. I don't think that's an AI horse. It looks like it's drawn. It's just, it has its mouth open. Huh. I still don't know why they called them combos. I really don't. Oh. That'll do it. Hi, King Crow. Thank you. Thank you for the 15 bits. Does it like do something on the screen? Wait, what is this? Varsapura? Oh, is this the new Hoyoverse game that everybody was talking about? What the fuck? Okay, hold on. This actually looks interesting. We're probably going to watch this after the ad break. Let me actually start the game for y'all. That would be nice. That would be nice. And then I'm going to do really quick. Poll time. What do? Defunct Land. What was the other ones? Oh, When Winds Meets. And do we want to put One Way in there because that was on the original schedule? And we'll do it for 5 minutes. Methinks. All right. Paneer cheese. Ooh. Sylvia's Thanksgiving turkey from Bon Appetit. Oh, here it is, the 3-day turducken. Okay, if we end up doing food and chill chats, we will do this 3-day turducken. It's a 43-minute video. I'm gonna learn everybody about what a turducken is. Join and spam them together.
So on the menu,
Get your name in the corner of the player. I think bigger amounts might do bigger thing. Well, I mean, yours did a really big thing. The 1K like took over, did like a big thing over my chat, but I imagine it probably did more on the home screen. I'm being stolen from? Listen, it's a perfect, listen, I didn't do it. I did not reach into your wallet and steal it. I could see if I could message Twitch to refund it. Can't vote during ads, red chat bar too small. Oh. It's okay. There's a long time to vote. You'll be fine. You'll be fine. I can't believe y'all failed. What happened, Sunstar? I'm just madged. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it happened. That is kind of dumb that it doesn't ask for confirmation. Especially considering it's spending money. Don't forget to vote, y'all. If we end up doing the food and chill, we will also watch the 3-day turducken video I just found by Anti-Chef. I have no idea who this person is. But his fucking thumbnail for the 3-day turducken looked fucking awesome. Might have been Nerdist. Nerdist. Why does that sound familiar? Is that an online magazine? Vienna Christmas Top 10 Eats. The only food guide you need this Christmas. Christ. Oh, that's Remnant too. I cook chicken in real lava. I don't believe that for a goddamn second, Babish. What in the AI fuck is that? Oh my god, he actually did. Well, it's not lava, it's molten slag. It looks like he went to a steel foundry and dunked a chicken in it. Nuremberg Christmas markets. Ooh. Oh, but that just looks like it's just a walking thing. Okay. That's not a hurricane? It's not. Also, what is that bar? What the fuck? Okay. Okay, that looks like there's only 9 of you that voted. Come on, chat. Come on. What's the deal? What's the problem? Why is nobody voting? Do you not want to choose what we're doing today? Crossing Ford? Crossing Ford? I'm playing my gacha right now, but you can vote. It's just 2 clicks. Why are you not voting? Voting is important. Voting decides what we're doing today. But I'm tired. It's like 2 clicks. It's 2 clicks. I didn't register to vote. You're automatically registered in this chat. Oh no, it's Defunct Lands. Oh no, Defunct Lands winning. Oh no. Oh no, we're gonna have to watch the 4-hour Defunct Land video. All right, chat, get your snacks. Do you know what? Here, real quick. Real quick. We'll do a runoff poll. What do part 2? Defunct Lands, food and chill. And those are gonna be the only 2 options, and I'm changing the timer to 2 minutes. Don't forget to vote. Don't forget to vote. And I'll go ahead and do this. We'll give you another round of the Gardic. Overall, Safuge might have won. And the Monkey Paw curls. Match. Dog barking? All right, I need to run to the bathroom. I should have run during the commercial break, but I really need to run now. So I'll be back in a minute. Somebody take a screenshot or something for what wins, because I may miss it. Okie dokie. I got back in time to see what it was. Haha, so nobody can lie to me. Excellent. Excellent. All right, chat. First, before we jump into the food, though, we will do the food. I'm just out of curiosity. I want to see what this, where is it? Varsapora game is. I need to know. I need to know. So let me get these. Boop, boop. It was Mario Kart. Oh, we're playing Mario Kart? Damn, I don't have my Switch set up to play Mario Kart on stream. Hi, Hectic. How are you doing? All right. So this is apparently Hoyoverse's new game, the company that makes Genshin Impact.
If you've been suffering from insomnia, nightmares, or mood swings, you may find these images unsettling.
Shadow Emergency Alliance?
then-
What?
I had no idea.
What in the control fuck is this? Hi, Dre. How are you
Maybe that
doing?
Isn't the real me?
Okay.
You lost belongings due to mind rot?
Mind rot.
Please
Oh
visit
shit.
that
Oh
general
no.
Mind rot control.
All right, thanks.
Why are those boxes floating?
How can I help you?
No. That one, the GTA
like
one
to
you're
join
thinking of,
you.
isn't a Hoyoverse game.
Okay. You'll need to go through the interview
Why do they
process
look
first.
like dolls?
This is your
They don't just look like anime. They all look like dolls. Am I the only one that sees that? Let me go back. Why would you let me go back? Look at her. What in the painted on doll face is that? The Department of Touching Grass?
Hey,
I don't think it's for sure touching grass. But it's called Mind
This is
Rot,
your
which is very
application form.
funny in this day
Read
and
the
age.
Instructions and sign to confirm. Once you sign, we'll verify your consciousness.
Verify my what? Hold on a second. Comply with all interviewers' instructions. Maintain utmost confidentiality of any sensitive information that is disclosed or observed. Authorize sealed before a mind scan. Warning! Your senses may be temporarily restricted as a security measure. If this occurs, remain calm and follow instructions. This application process stimulates the daily duties of SEAL officers. Some applicants may find the contents of certain scenarios to be disturbing. Applicants can exit the scenario at any time by requesting intervention. Applicant discretion is advised. Violation of confidentiality will result in long-term detention.
This may cause slight discomfort.
The leather-bound clipboard, though. Shockingly good-looking. It looks straight... Oh. What the fuck is that
Let
signature?
me see. Consciousness verification completed. Preparing the
Are they doing a
interview.
Soma? It feels like they may be doing a
Number
Soma.
IO7. They'll call it out through the announcement system, so please pay attention.
Maybe they're all
May
like
take a
artificial
moment.
bodies?
This area is open to visitors. Feel free to look around while you
Oh, we can
wait.
find out like this world has like immortality and people just swap bodies. Is that what this is gonna be? What the fuck is that?
Although organic matter is more resistant to decomposition, mind rot can severely affect mental health.
That's a
If
phone.
exposed, seek medical help immediately. Rest assured, our MRB officers will clear affected
Why
areas.
is it on an
and
old
reverse
telegraph?
mind rot's effect on your property. Welcome. You're about to observe the process of mind rotting. Note the black substance seeping from the object. This is mind rot.
No, wait, go back. I was listening to that. The fuck is that? A not fire hydrant, I'm guessing. You say, if we find out that it's like everybody has like an artificial body or something, and that's why everybody looks like a fucking doll, it would make sense.
Number I.
But it doesn't seem like that's the case. It seems like it's more like altered objects from
Down the
Control.
hall on the left of the front desk.
And of course, we're just sprinting around everywhere, and she's wearing a mini skirt. Wait, how did you know it was going to be that door? It's not the average player, of course. Hi, generic Korean idol man.
Yeah, hi,
Well, isn't that something? They really hit the jackpot with candidates like us. Come on, take a seat.
There's the map, so that's Varsapura. Mind Rat safety guidelines. Hold on. Memorize Seal's emergency number. Keep emergency supplies at home, such as mind rot extinguishers and calming lozenges. Familiarize yourself with your surroundings, paying extra attention to mind rot hydrant locations. Evacuate immediately when faced with early stages of mind rot. Evacuate promptly and contact Seal. Locate mind rot hydrants. So those were hydrants. I was right. If unable to evacuate, find a mine rot hydrant and wait nearby for rescue. Advanced mine rot will distort reality and manifest shadow monsters. Repeat Seal's number. You can send out a rescue signal to Seal by thinking Seal's number. Rest assured the rescue brigade will find you quickly. What? So that intervention thing that was on the thing was anytime.
There's so many safety brochures to leaf through. Grab a chair, let's chat for a bit.
We've loved Control 2. I want real Control 2.
This whole Shadow Bureau seems so shady. Everyone says they're strict about hiring, but there's no clear standards. They don't even accept
Honestly, though, the mocap and the facial's pretty good on this dude.
Like I have no experience, you know? I've watched Mindbog murders and Shadow Boys several times. Nothing I can't handle.
What's up with the lights?
Testing time.
What do you think is the better pick? Rescue Brigade or SUN?
Did you see that?
Maybe the Brigade? My girlfriend
This is the
thinks
test.
they're hot.
Wait, or is this just us? Huh. Oh, or is this the loss of senses? This is probably the loss of senses, I'm guessing. For the test. Ooh. It's giving Control and Alan Wake with like the moodiness. Okay, this is definitely Alan Wake. I can't believe they're stealing Rivety's mojo. This is bullshit.
Hello?
Who's pulling the Ocean View cord? Yep. Welcome to the Ocean View Hotel. Bench. Again, they're almost too doll-like. Kitty! Hi, Kitty. Where did you come from?
Yet another hollow one.
Hollow one?
Hollow one? What?
Your straw-filled mind wanders the wasteland inside. Still, you're haunted by a nameless lie.
Hi, spooky man in a suit.
You don't know.
Close enough. Nice to see you again, Fabian.
I see.
Or the King in Yellow.
You're no hero. I'd say average at best.
He is, in fact, the Hat Man.
An officer has come to collect you.
The seals? Oh my god. Oh, spokesperson.
Hello. I'm a shuttle patrol officer, Sayuki. Congratulations on passing the interview.
We're gonna talk about the direction of her her suspenders pointing in opposite directions.
That guy was an interviewer?
He's a well-regarded senior member of the Shadow Bureau.
Oh yeah, this is by HoYoverse. They specialize in doing anime games.
Back when I first started, Mr. Shadow has a keen eye for people, so if you got in, it means you've got a seal of approval.
I like the shadow guy. I like the Hat Man.
Just a minor precaution. The Bureau's interior can't
It's
be
a HoYo as HoYo design.
But you
Yep.
can still see me, right? Just stick close. Vivian, I didn't see you there.
Why can't we
Yeah,
hear
it's
or
nothing.
see her?
I'm just used to taking notes. Hey.
Like that's just
don't judge a
gibberish.
book
That's
by
not
its
even
cover.
just like muffled language. The question, it usually is, because every HoYoverse game is a gacha game, so there's got to be something to it. Maybe it's cosmetics.
She often teases
Maybe we'll find out that
newcomers.
like
Don't worry
there's
about
cosmetic
it.
outfits or
If your
skins or
onboarding goes
something
well,
that's
you'll
the
prove her
gacha.
wrong.
It's Simlish? It is basically Simlish.
Looks like a meeting's in progress.
They'll probably never show the like gacha factor in their gameplay trailer like this.
Wait just a moment.
Why?
What's this meeting about?
I have so many questions.
Code Red. Sun's gonna have their hands full.
I feel like Sun is like their
Go ahead
SWAT
without
team.
me. I need to take this newcomer to the test chamber.
is what I'm guessing.
Passing through. Excuse me.
So there's shadow officers, which I'm guessing is just everyday patrol, and then Sun, which I'm guessing is like their SWAT team. This is the testing chamber. It's right next to the meeting hall.
Building are way too small. This place always gets crowded whenever there's a meeting. Let's go.
Are they not going to address
Where's
the
mind rot taking place?
Oh, in the Oakwood district. You know how VP is. This kind of thing happens all the time. That's why we're needed. But don't
I'm
worry
kind of
about that
hoping
now.
if
Okay.
if Whole Universe is continuing its usual thing, this game is going to be free to play.
Another test?
We may play this game.
Hi,
It
Simmons.
seems very interesting.
Is the test chamber ready?
Dawn authorization approved. Personnel permitted 2. Preparing the test chamber.
These are old cameras
Marcia
again.
is
I'm trying to figure out what year this is supposed to be in. We haven't seen outside, but like all the tech is old yet very new at the same time.
And I'm waiting for the results. So I'll stay away from the test chamber. I mean, I wouldn't want to disturb Marcia.
Marcia?
Fine. Seems like replicator number 3 needs a lens adjustment.
Sure. On it.
And she should just like flip that clipboard and then it disappeared.
Actually, I could use some help. Would you mind?
Okay. Is the door going to become solid? All the way.
Go ahead.
Oh, thank you,
This will be
Dragon.
your last test.
She won't go easy on you. Good luck.
Is this... Oh, this is a 30-minute gameplay trailer. I didn't realize that. I thought this was going to be shorter than that. Fuck it. I'm in. I'm in for it. I'm in for it. I love the layout of this.
Their thoughts from the mind bog. It powers our test chamber.
Mind bog.
You've got 60 seconds to eliminate the approaching shadow monsters. Good luck.
Okay, here's the umbrella. Aw, that's cute. Okay, I think we found where the gotcha part will eventually come in. It's gonna be the same. This is basically reskinned Triple Z. That's why she's wearing a raincoat. Her theme is rain. It's very cute though.
Swift and precise. Good job. On to the next one.
Jesus, the destructibility.
That was just a basic drill. Field work requires quick action. But remember,
Some controls, some evil within, some Hoyo gotcha. That's what it seems like. Are you gonna delete that? No, it's fine. It's programmed.
without alerting the monsters.
Wait, what was that? Was that a pool?
Keep a low profile and stay undetected.
Again, though, I
Use your
just like
abilities when
the
needed.
stealth. Oh, okay. Listen, if I could play this game like it's fucking Dishonored, I would. It's over. It's so over. It seems very interesting. Like I'm very curious. I'm sure the more than oh. Sure, she pulls something out of, what is that? Just a random, oh. Okay, so there's environmental things you can do. Executes, okay. I'm guessing that's our objective. Stealth in my gotchas? More likely than you think.
Great job. Go through that door and catch your breath. You've earned
Some
it.
game in their gotcha game? True. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that really like the story and progression of Zinless Zone Zero. Oh boy.
What's going on?
Oh, of course, the test goes wrong.
The exit's blocked, and there's mind rot in the chamber. Don't touch it if you want to live.
It's everywhere.
Just opened a new route for you. Up you go.
Oh. Are we bouncing? Oh, it's rising, isn't it? Oh god, it is rising. Ooh!
Take the stairs. Run quickly.
Uh-oh. Why did you get rid of them? There was more of those up above.
What's the matter?
Mind rot readings are off the charts. Any trouble downtown?
Yeah, there's a code red in Oakwood District. Can you let the rookie out?
Already on it.
Are we already counted as a rookie, or...? Welcome back, Control. Oh, hi, guys. Where did you get those extinguishers?
60%. Try to keep it together in the meantime.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so that wasn't an execute. That was just... Is it part of a combo? I can't tell.
More than a rookie can handle.
Where are you going?
I have to help.
The route's unstable. You'll be trapped inside too.
Then make sure to get us out. Hold on, I'm coming.
This is how we're gonna find out about the character swapping. There it is! I'm sorry, hold on a second. They rendered underwear for her. Which is not usually something Hoyoverse does. Anyway. Ooh.
The chamber's unstable, but I'll get you out.
Fucking bureaucracy is a superpower.
To reduce the mind bog's interference.
That's hilarious.
Your power should be more effective against the jellies. Leave the suits to me. We'll need to fight till Simmons opens the exit.
Suits? So is that the big guys? Persona. Okay, gotcha. Okay, so that was the Q ability that she had in the corner. Instead of a void? That's what I usually expect from Hoyoverse. They usually do that, or they just give everybody who wears skirts a shorts.
Nicely done. We make a good team.
But that was very obviously white.
Wrong about you. You're actually impressive in real combat. Simmons, I'd say we've underestimated this one.
Oh yes, of course, every anime game. Underestimate the main character.
Be careful, it's getting closer.
Simmons?
Deploy platforms.
Simmons! Comms are down. We may be cut off from the outside world. Stay sharp.
Okay. It's always weird to me that they do the, they let you have a team.
Platforms. Get up there to deploy them.
What was it? I'm brain farting. The system that they always do in Hoyoverse games where you swap characters, even though you're supposed to be all like on a team and story-wise, technically all of them are present at once. I don't know why they don't do the everybody's fighting together, but you just swap between who you control at the time.
HQ must have noticed the anomaly by now. We've got to hold on.
She is taking damage from being in that goo. Or it seemed like she was. Okay, she's just called Hollow One. That was weird. Like Xenoblade? Yes, I guess. I've never played Xenoblade, so I don't know. Yeah, that's what I think it just should have been like. Or at least it should have progressed to that.
This
Dolls.
is no ordinary mind rot. It's dissolving everything into the mind bog.
Mind what? Mind who? Can I get a mind chimichanga?
Including you if you stay here. Now go.
Always trust the cat. So I'm gonna guess that they're gonna do the same thing that they did with Zenless Zone Zero and like all their other games. Is they're just gonna have the same character, but it's just gonna be male or female. Although Zenless Zone Zero technically was a brother and sister, and you just picked which one you wanted to play.
I'm fine. Rookie, you okay?
I'm okay.
There's a full response underway. Patrol needs you.
Be right there. We're wrapping up.
I know that voice.
You definitely passed the test.
We're wrapping
Now I
up.
just need
We're
to
gonna still have
brief you
12 minutes to go.
Let's take it from here. Hollow One, with me.
I love him so much.
All right. I appreciate your help.
The situation is serious, but they have what it takes.
Why did they call her the Hollow One this entire
I'm
time?
humbled. Even an entity like me can misjudge. Your potential.
He reminds me
runs
of
deeper than you
that one horror game that we played.
But your motivations are not as they appear, correct?
That had like a guy with purple face.
Is this part of the interview?
Yes, in Sound Mind, that's it.
Well, unofficial.
It was like something
this
mind.
Conversation will determine your future with the Bureau. Why do you want to join SEAL?
I'm looking for my killer. Not the most altruistic goal.
What? I have so many questions. Empathy. Try to peek into Mr. Shadow's mind? Okay, so we have other powers, it seems. Persuasion, you're right, but who doesn't have secrets as long as we serve the Bureau? Isn't that enough? Deception. The disease they mentioned in the lobby could work as a bluff. Disease. Okay, a SEAL officer killed my former self. I'm here to find them. So there are bodies. Are we gonna find out that like shadows are
You're
just
right,
corrupted
but who
people?
doesn't have secrets? As long as we serve the Bureau, isn't that enough?
A fair point. We share the same goals. You have a way with words.
It was Wraithy Oblivion the whole
The
time.
Bureau
Oh
needs your
no.
help with the mind rot incident. Prove yourself worthy of this.
1993?
This may be my chance to ask about the killer.
He's gone.
Sir, do you happen to know an officer that uses a snake scale umbrella?
What the fuck? Who has snake scale umbrella? Who can afford that much snake scale? Just be honest with him. You just
see,
mentioned you
I
had a
really
killer
liked
and
this
you were looking
courageous
for him.
officer. I want to thank them personally.
I'm unconvinced.
Expressing gratitude. What a rare trait.
God, he's so
I'll
dapper.
help you. Await my message. Welcome to SEAL.
I love this. I like this a lot. Oh my god. She just doesn't know how to drive. The tiny patrol car. Oh no, we're driving on the left side. Oh fuck, we're in England. Ooh, the music.
Spark ready for cleanup.
Fit here. On the scene now.
Requesting additional sun response in Oakwood.
This is me. Be there soon.
Cruden Hill is expanding. Code yellow.
Maybe this is GTA. Maybe you're right.
Unit 08123. 5 minutes out.
Oh, we're working with Sayuki already? Hit it. Damn, what in the mafia shit driving is this? It's a boost. Okay. Ooh. So why is Seal so old-fashioned looking when everything else is very much modern? Other selves, previous self, like we know our character's been killed.
What exactly is mind rot?
Oh, now it just says player instead of Hollow One.
This is why proper orientation is so important. Good thing Dawn still has a training tapes feature.
Dodd?
As you've learned, humanity's collective
Oh, Dawn.
manifest as the rain of thought. Like water stagnating without proper drainage, it can build up and cause rot. Mind rot buildups erode reality, breaking minds, spawning monsters, and warping our world. And module 14.
Okay.
Proceed to...
The rain of thought never stops.
Nicely put.
I am really enjoying the look of this game in a weird way, even if like all the people look like dolls. Which again, there's a reason. There's a reason I know there is, and they're not giving it to us, and it bothers me so much. When you're gonna beat God, you gotta look your best. Listen. Mr. Beast purchased TikTok? It doesn't matter. Mr. Beast has an amusement park in Saudi Arabia, and therefore his opinion on fucking anything is invalid. Granted, his opinion's been invalid for fucking always. Unless the question is, how do I blow through enough money to bankrupt an entire country every YouTube video I make?
You're so determined. What made you choose Seal?
An officer changed my life. I joined the Force to follow his footsteps.
Where are we heading? There's no interface right now.
That explains a lot.
Is this just showing the driving?
Everyone gets me closer to finding him. Think you could help with that?
We're a team now, so...
So how many officers could not a company, a enforcement branch like this have that she can't find the, what is it, the snakeskin umbrella guy? I say let Mr. Beast burn. I agree.
We're here.
Oh.
Dawn has locked down this area.
Okay, so this was the park. So the map is huge. This was only one location we were heading to. Hey, we got a new uniform. With rolled sleeves, baby. Oh. What the fuck is that?
Okay, let's head in.
Is there something standing in the distance? Oh, okay, we just walk through the crime tape.
Access granted. Hello, rookie.
There's a third character down there with pink hair. Do y'all see her? There's us on the left, 2 is Sayuki, and 3 is some pink-haired girl.
I'm Dawn, Seal's companion.
Dawn, are the observation points available?
Ashady turned out to be a douche? Who? Mr. Beast? Mr. Beast was always a douche.
Always a pleasure.
The man's only good at making content and literally nothing else.
Looks like that ad campaign is really...
Oh. Oh. Thing is, I don't think they're an MC. I think they're just one of the characters that this demo decided to have for this section. How well can you sneak in heels and a miniskirt? Apparently well enough. Also, wait, were there a bunch of them floating up in the air? Oh, the alarm, dude. I'm gonna guess almost every character more than likely has some sort of movement utility, and hers just happens to be the umbrella. Girl, you were bothering me the way that you were trying to get behind this man. You were doing this in the dumbest way I could imagine. Oh, then we're just gonna fuck up the stealth. Okay. Okay, never mind. Apparently it did not, in fact, aggro anyone else. God, it's so funny that her power is just bureaucracy. Anyway, here's files. There we go. Okay, I'm sorry. Is her power ball and chain with gravity? That's fucking sick. Why does she have to be the generic, what was it, the generic fucking punk pink-haired girl that every Hoyoverse game has? Lost my head. Okay, that guy's wearing a blue coat. I wonder if that makes him different? Because pink is good? It's one of my least favorite colors. I very much cared for it. I like green. I like red. I like green. Oh, okay. That was a cool entrance. And she has a cool weapon. The sparks? Jesus, what is the engine for this game? Listen, we're not gonna question the booty shorts, okay? So yeah, she has gravity powers.
Just a few more left. Ready for one last push.
Attention all units. Oakwood has been contained. Emergency status lifted. You may resume regular duties.
Huh?
Sun never disappoints. Let's wrap this up and get some coffee. My treat.
Has been contained? Are you sure we're still fighting here? Oh, that was the beefy guy. That's like the boss that we saw earlier that had the little beam coming down from him. Keep dropping shit on him. Hey, you know what you need? Some paperwork. Oh, and then his stomp leaves the residue of the effect on the ground. Bap. Every new Hoyoverse game just seems to always blow the last one out of the water. Like, Genshin Impact is fucking trash at this point. I'm sorry. It just is. If you're gonna go play a Hoyoverse game, just skip all the others and just go play fucking, right now, Zenless Zone Zero. Otherwise, wait for this one.
Oh, almost forgot.
Also, the cutscenes.
Your reward for your first assignment. Shock Americano.
Coffee?
Perfect for staying alert, fighting off fatigue, and doing your best.
She's adorable.
All that mind rot
Okay, even the
cleared.
fire engines are
We're
old.
still buried in work back at
What
Seal.
is up with the, like, the
Well,
enforcement
Director Mann has
agencies
big
having
plans,
old-fashioned
but they're
vehicles
hard to pull off.
and equipment,
He
but
seems
everything
a
else
bit
is modern?
unreliable.
Then introduce me to more reliable people like you.
And beat on her
Pass
bones in
around
Triple
on
Z?
Great. Can't wait to
Uh,
interview them in person.
I can't think of any of the characters off the top of my head that I would describe as meat on their bones that isn't just having a huge butt and huge tits. Points at the octopus lady.
To save the world.
Established in the 1950s? I don't know. It said that the badge that she was given said 1993. But the cars that are driving around are not 1993. Caesar King? Yep. Where's the date? Wait. Is this their hiring list? Is this what they're hiring for this game? Shanghai, 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 and Singapore, Shanghai, Singapore, 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 Los Angeles. Los Angeles. Yeah. So if you want to go work on this game, guess what? Guess what? You can. And I thought this was good. I thought it said like 10 minutes or something, or 8 minutes when I didn't realize the whole thing was 31 minutes. All right, chat. Now to get what you actually voted for. Are y'all ready for food? Are you ready to learn what a turducken is? Let's get married in the game. Listen, I wish I will voice a character for free Hell, I'll even do it if all they have to pay for is like studio space somewhere. I will drive several hours to get to a quality studio if they want professional studios. The horror element was the job application. It was maximum immersion. Oh no. Iron Zone Zero win? Thing is, like, they've still been updating like every single one of their games, right? HoYoverse updates all of their games. Honkai Star Rail, Genshin Impact, Zenless Zone Zero. They're not the ones who made Wuthering Waves, right? Wuthering Waves is a separate company. Oh, I mean, like, that's just what HoYoverse always does with their games, is to some degree, every single theme that you can think of can fit in some way. That's usually how loose the, like, world building is for it. Like, is there a plot? Yes. Is there a big bad? Is there a big issue? Yes. And then they could write in any additional races, species, or anything like that they could possibly want into the world. The goal is getting married in a game somewhere. I want to be in a game. I want to voice in a game. I don't even have to get my character in a game. I just want to voice in a game. Come on, HoYoverse, let me in. I'll do whatever you need. Whatever you could possibly want. Anyway.
Today.
Anyway.
3 birds in 1.
Hold on, let's get the captions. That's important. Spine in time.
So hello everyone, welcome to my home. Please get comfy, and it's about to get fairly bird heavy up in here.
I'm gonna say, we're not even close to big enough for game companies to consider adding us to a game, though.
Well, I mean,
I need to get a better sound setup so that I can start doing auditions and everything.
Thanksgiving. I was thinking we could.
I want to do voice auditions.
I don't want to just.
I do occasionally scroll a lot of the voice casting websites. I know.
Done that before. Let's add in.
I'm sorry. Did that just fit?
So the duck can go into the turkey. We roast those two. Can we add in a chicken also? Chicken.
That's a big chicken compared to that duck.
Then into the turkey. Add in one more bird.
A quail.
Three's Company. So
no, put a quail in there. Do it. Put a quail in there, you coward.
A turducken today, and I've had
Sayu to where she's everywhere. Sayu or Amelie.
Stepping up to the plate. Okay, it's a recipe from this fella right here, Paul Prudhomme. Family Cookbook.
Oh, Louisiana recipes.
Cajun chef from South Louisiana, and the turducken, when it was unleashed,
15 to 25 servings.
All the rage.
What does this thing taste like?
It's gonna taste, I mean, can you imagine how it would feel to have
It's gonna taste like the 3 separate birds all cooked the same way.
You're 16 years old and you're just gonna get your first kiss. That's the way it feels, Anderson.
That's an interesting comparison.
Roast turkey, but when you cut it open, I do feel prepped for this one, as I have made Julia Child's turkey ballotine, for example, which has bone a turkey, debone a turkey, you know what I mean. Also, I have boned a duck and a chicken. Sounds nasty, I know, but also that's the terminology that you use.
It's not a flavor, my guy. Listen, I can understand some foods tasting like the kiss of your sweetheart.
Anyway, I've heard it from both ends.
Or something like that.
Out of this conversation. Anyway, I feel like all
that makes
my
sense.
actions in the kitchen from the
But
past
I don't think you
have
can
now led
compare a
me to this
turducken
moment
to
here.
that.
Let's get to work.
I like that the whole thing is just labeled frozen, 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 frozen.
Whoa! I should have done this over the sink.
Also, what's with the double cutting boards?
This is a terrible start to the video.
Well, yeah, you always open your birds over the sink, numbnuts.
What the fuck?
You're just making more of a mess. Oh my god.
Oh.
The level of kitchen ineptitude I've just witnessed.
Remove the bones from this 20-pounder.
Wow, it just slurped juice all over my counter. Oh, I should have done this at the sink. Continues to tear open the packaging.
As well as the 2 joints of each wing. Everything else has to go here. It's a mighty task. As I've removed the bones from
lot
all
of
3
bird
of the
removal
birds today, I know that the turkey is actually the easiest of the 3 because it's the biggest. So if you just come with me,
you also got a huge turkey, dude.
So this is gonna be a messy job. But
that's a
someone has to do
massive
it.
turkey.
I am using my bad cutting board.
Kiss your sweetheart in relation to turducken, something meaty lips.
I want to
Correct.
be careful with the skin here. Just one incision down the spine. Other than that, don't ruin the skin.
Oh, is that why this is called spine in time?
And the meat
I've never had to debone a bird before. I know you can do it. I've just, again, never done it.
To reveal the shoulder blade. There it is. And I'm gonna work on one side first and then work our way down the shoulder blade to the wing. Sorry, you gotta go.
Okay.
Remove the wingtip. Free the heavy drumstick of the wing and then remove it. Do not pierce the skin and continue to tease the meat away from the backbone. So you're working your way down to the thigh, but I want to keep the oyster meat. Where is that?
Is something satisfying about ripping all the flesh off the bones? No, you gotta do it delicately.
Here.
You gotta do it delicately, John.
Okay.
It's an intimate moment between you and the bird that you're about to devour.
Release the thigh bone. That's this, right?
I swear, I've seen somebody do a video
Got it.
once where they made a burrito.
Okay, I'm making my way to the center
But I think it was
of
a
the
chicken.
breastbone. Am I there yet?
Where they deboned
It's hard to be certain.
a whole chicken.
It's hard to be certain over here, but I think.
And then
we're making headway.
wrapped it like it was the tortilla around a burrito and then deep fried it. And I can't remember where I saw that. But honestly,
Remove the carcass. That
it sounds like a good time.
For me, not for the turkey. Of course, I'm keeping all the bones. It says to use a small hammer.
To tenderize.
I'm going to use the mini Thor here. And I got to break the wing 2 inches from the tip.
Huh?
Being sure not to break the skin now.
That's not the wing, my guy. Those are the legs.
That's difficult because you don't want to. Oh, I did it. Come on. There, I got it. 2 inches, 2 inches, 2 inches. Okay, great. Sorry, turkey. Leg bone. Bam, bam. Turn the meat to the inside so the skin is on the outside and the bird looks like a turkey again.
I'd be mildly concerned
Move
with bone shards.
Into this pan here. I'm gonna chill this. So I got my biggest stock pot.
And the legs there.
Add in all the
Caress the bird.
Carcass.
Broth.
Leg bones, wing bones, neck, the bum, and the wingtips, heart, the gizzard if we got it, everything but the liver. That does not get added. Here comes the duck. Quack, quack, quack. This time around, I am removing all of the bones. So I've cut off 2 joints of
that makes
each
sense.
wing. And I'm gonna have to do a nifty thing to get the
So the only
meat
one that's probably
out
gonna
of
have bones inside of it
bones,
is the
but
turkey.
besides that, I think
I'm
everything
guessing.
should be more of the same. So why don't we
This man
just
is
hit
not a
the
male
duck
chef.
towards
Where's his measuring tape? Measuring tape. I'm more thinking of where's his scale? Why aren't we? What do you mean you aren't measuring your meats in
I'm gonna do exactly
in like grams or some shit? Hi, Archosaurus. How are you doing?
All right, so I boned the turkey, the duck, and the chicken. That's
Why
3
won't you
birds,
say
3
deboned, my
chances to
dude?
ruin
Why do you
dinner.
keep saying boned?
That's stock, eh?
It was
Throw
funny
in a
the
big
first
pot
time when
full
you
of all the bones
mispronounced
and all
it.
the stuff of all the birds. Half a head of unpeeled, coarsely chopped garlic. Drop in 3
Unpeeled?
quartered onions. Picking up on this now, there's just too much stock for this one pot. So I'm gonna split it. Half a stalk of celery divided by 2. I'm gonna fill up both of these pots with as much water as I can. Bring it up to a boil and skim the scum. And bring it down to a gentle simmer for at least 4 hours. Let's prepare the stuffing.
He didn't pull any of the garlic out of one of them, did he?
I need 3 different types.
Yeah, I don't think he split the garlic. I think he only split the onion, celery, and meat.
Dressing, cornbread dressing, and an oyster dressing.
Oyster
So I'm gonna start
dressing?
off with the one that needs a little more prep, which is the cornbread dressing. Because you guessed it, I gotta make cornbread.
Let's go.
This is the first for me in my life.
All right, break out the Jiffy box.
Glad that you're here with me. So I'm gonna start off with the dry ingredients, and just in simplest terms possible, I'm working with cups today. 2 2/3 cups of all-purpose flour, 1 1/3 cup of yellow cornmeal. If you want a sweet cornbread, you can exercise that option, add in more sugar. But he says if you don't, and I don't think I want to.
I wouldn't go with too much sugar in cornbread.
Half a cup of sugar. I think that's fine. This is more of a special.
Oh, that
purchase
still
here.
looks like a
1
lot
cup
of sugar.
Corn flour. Had to go searching for that. Teaspoon of salt and a whopping 3 tablespoons of baking powder, plus a teaspoon. Whoops. Plus a teaspoon baking powder. Combine all that so that there's no lumps. Started with a very large bowl. Now he wants me to have a large.
Okay.
Can I just use that? Perfect. 2 2/3 cup of milk, 2 beaten eggs.
I'm guessing he's gonna have to make the cornbread.
1 stick plus 2 tablespoons worth. You're not gonna find this recipe over at Weight Watchers. Whisk it together.
Cornbread ain't on the Weight Watchers list, baby. It never was. It never will be.
Until it's just mixed together and the large lumps have
Why do Americans put
dissolved.
sugar in everything?
Do not
It's a weird
overheat
thing.
Making dish, which is
It is also part of the
he's looking
taste
for a
of
13x9er.
cornbread to an extent.
And honesty, 12.
I'd probably try it without any
So
sugar
we're
just
missing
so I
that
know
1
the
inch.
taste.
But what it lacks in
Honey on cornbread,
length
sugar in cornbread.
makes up
Ooh, you
for
may be onto something. What if you put honey on top?
Greasing it up liberally with some butter. It's gonna equally
Partially through the baking
distribute the
process.
mix
Could it
into the
caramelize
pan.
on
So I'm gonna
top?
bake this at 350 degrees Fahrenheit until it's golden
You
brown.
got drips
It'll
all
take
over the
around
side of the
50 to
pan, dude.
55
That's gonna
minutes.
burn.
Okay, good luck to you.
Is my equivalent of watching sports chat in case.
What is this? I'm not driving spatula.
Huh?
I'm not driving t-shirt. This must be an anti-chef merch drop.
Nope.
Starting November 14th. Right now, actually. Linked in the description.
No. Ooh, not bad looking.
I gotta bring the stock over here. I gotta do a couple.
And then what?
I gotta do a couple
Rumble that
things.
bitch.
Just a little skimming that needs to be done. Firstly,
Well,
strainer and a
crumble
bowl,
it and
please.
then probably toast it.
Okay, package deal.
And then
Pretty
soak it.
dangerous there. Just do it this way.
Well, take it to the sink, dude. You need to put a
For
sink.
this cornbread dressing, which is what
I say
we're
that bowl
on
was
right
not
now.
big
I know
enough.
I'm looking at stock, but we're working on the cornbread dressing. Hence the cornbread. And
Okay.
I'm gonna need the stock, but first of all,
And from looking at the way
I
that the
need
guy had it,
turkey,
like,
duck, or
presented,
chicken giblets.
I'm guessing that the stuffing
And
goes
I'm fresh
between
out.
every
I
bird.
mean, you know, got the birds in the fridge. All the other stuff is in the stock.
I need a man. I'm not working
And
the
I don't
ticket
have
booth
any
shirt.
other
Oh
giblets
no.
hanging around, so I just kind of is an oversight. I got my
He's
own.
extremely
Thank you very
determined to make a mess.
So this is what I'm gonna do.
Which, I mean,
I
it's
gotta
totally
dig
fine
through
to
the
make a
stock
mess.
pot, looking for giblets, you know, heart, liver. Well, there'd be no liver in here because he told me to remove that prior to, but I got some heart. Always got some heart.
Okay.
But I'm thinking I can just peel off a bunch of this.
Just peel off the meat, dude.
From the bones, and use that in place of the giblets, because I'm just going for the flavor of.
Well,
these
yeah, you threw
birds
all the
anyway,
giblets
right?
in there,
There's
so
a whole
it's
bunch
just
of
gonna be
flavor in here. So
a
that's
part
what
of
I'm
the
gonna do.
mix.
Pour the stock back into the stock pot because
Just
this
get
is
all
big
the
enough
meaty
to
little
hold it
bits that
all
you
in.
can.
I may need these bowls down the.
Oh my God, you're
down the
dripping
road.
everywhere.
You might be wondering, like,
It's
oh,
okay, I
if
did the
need
same
all
thing.
these chicken
It's always the one thing where you're
giblets,
trying
why
to
don't I
look
just
cool while
keep
you're cooking, and then you just
liver?
you end up having a bowl that
Keep
just
the liver
lets the
that
liquid
was with
run
the
down the
turkey,
side.
The duck, and the chicken. Well, here's the deal.
Okay.
I didn't.
What are we doing?
Once I removed it, I kept it room temperature for far too long, and it looked a bit nasty. And then I chucked it.
Huh?
So, and
Wait,
then I
wait,
just
wait,
ate
what did you
turkey,
chuck?
The duck and the chicken. Well, here's the deal. I didn't. Once I removed it, I kept it room temperature for far too long, and it looked a bit nasty. And then I chucked it.
Yeah, buddy. What did you think was gonna
So I don't
happen?
have it anymore. I made a lot of stock.
Hell yeah, you did.
So that's a big pot of stock.
Hell
I also
yeah.
have a second one.
Can't ever have too much stock, baby. Package that shit properly, it's gonna last months. Plus, it's supposed to be
Continue
Thanksgiving.
the search for various
It's soup season.
giblets. Ooh, that's a good one. What's that? That'll work. Oh, there's some good stuff in here. I was looking
Those
for
are the
around a
giblets.
cup
Yeah,
and a
I'm
half
guessing you
worth of
accidentally put the
stuff.
giblets in
Bring
one
a
of
little
the,
friend. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Thank you. If you had a meat grinder, I don't. I have the Whiz Kid. I need to grind them. I'm looking for
Whiz
something very
Kid?
fine. I don't want
That's called a
mush,
food
just something
processor, my
fine.
guy.
I'll take that. Let's go digging into the cornbread in a very offensive way.
Well, it's fine because
Nice.
you're making stuffing
So
with
I need
it.
5 cups
Not
worth
bad
of
looking
this
cornbread.
finely crumbled cornbread.
Pretty good looking cornbread, not gonna lie.
Looks beautiful. Gotta crumble it.
Listen, at least take a bite, my dude. At
Great
least take a
news, I
bite.
don't think I need to crumble all of it. This, I can just enjoy.
Fuck
Any
yeah,
other
dude.
day. Let's get the party started with
Dip
my
that in the
Dutch
vegetable broth.
cornbread dressing. Is supposed to make 16 cups. I'm halving the recipe, so it only makes 8 cups. Here's half a stick plus a tablespoon of butter. Here we go with an ingredient debut on the
Bard?
Anti-Chef channel. It is Margarine. Remember margarine? 2 tablespoons.
You say that like most quote-unquote butter brands aren't just margarine.
Not since I was a kid.
What world do you live in, dude? What? Wait, butter and margarine? Why? I don't think we're ever going to get an answer for that.
I'm going to half melt that. 3/4 cup.
Why
of finely
butter
chopped
and
onion
margarine?
And green pepper. Half a cup of finely chopped celery. In there somewhere is a tablespoon of minced garlic.
Oh hell yeah! Hit him with the Holy Trinity, baby.
Large bay leaves.
Now I see why the turducken was in a Cajun food. Also, dink donk, it's ad time. All right, chat. We're gonna take a brief break. I'm gonna give you the music. I'm gonna go nibble on something. I think we have some corn salsa in the fridge still, and I want to go nibble on that. So I will see you in a couple minutes. Okie dokie. Sorry, I was still nibbling on a Frito. while I was typing in chat. All right. Well, you survived and Sunstar didn't have to carry anyone. Let's go. Let's go. And then Sunstar's just fishing. Sunstar's just fishing in the corner. Fishing away, mister. Fishing away. All right, let's put this away. Bring this back up. All right. All right, what are we going to fuck up next?
Bay leaves. Well, I have these two. And then I have this. I hope that's big enough. I'm not driving. So after 2 minutes, I'm going to add this special seasoning: salt, white pepper, cayenne,
you
black
lose
pepper,
them.
oregano, onion powder, and thyme.
You just lost like an eighth.
I'm supposed to add in half the vegetables.
What's your
and
fear?
then cook for 5
Hi, Rin.
minutes. And then add in the rest of the vegetables.
Thank you for the tier 2. Holy shit, dude.
Anyway, cook for 5 minutes.
How's it going, Rin? What trouble did you get into?
Stock. 1 cup of my stock.
Only a cup?
I need a tablespoon.
Fuck yeah, baby, Tabasco.
Okay, so this is a hefty amount of Tabasco.
Okay, this is a Cajun fucking dish. Jesus.
Grinded up giblets. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Cook that now for 5 minutes. That already looks very interesting. 5 minutes later, I'm going to take it off the heat. Off the heat, I'm going to add in a can of evaporated milk.
No! Why? Wait, why? Why the Carnation evaporated milk? That's gonna make it so sweet. What do? You added sugar to the cornbread and now to the like vegetable giblet mix?
3 beaten eggs, 5 cups of finely crumbled cornbread. So I need this baking dish, but is occupied with cornbread.
You only have the one baking dish?
This is pretty close in size. Grease her up. This stuffing here goes into the baking dish. I just want to ensure that I'm not going to choke on the bay leaves when I'm about to
Well, yeah, you're supposed
thing.
to take them out, buddy.
Do you know where your bay leaves are tonight? So I baked this 350 degrees Fahrenheit for 35 to 40 minutes until it's browned on top.
Okay.
We gotta make this andouille smoked sausage dressing. Now,
wait, you're making both
andouille
dressings?
Smoked sausage is a Cajun type of
Yes, you were correct. Go on. Keep going. Keep fumble through it.
Not in my
I believe in you.
Today. So he's given me options of a, you could use a pure pork sausage, such as a Polish kielbasa. And
You
I
did
could
not.
easily find that, so that's what
You
I got.
did. Wait,
I got
what do
this
you
week.
mean it was hard to, you couldn't find an andouille sausage?
But I need to do the
I
same
found
thing
andouille
I did
sausages
with
as far
Blue
north
Beam
as
in the Whiz
Maine.
Kit. Again, thank you so much. Ground this up. And again, I do not have the tools to do such a thing.
Are you also not going to remove the
I
casing
do.
on this thing?
Actually, you know what, I do. And it's going to be the same way I did with...
I mean, I guess in this case, the casing is so thin, it probably doesn't matter. No, he pulled the leaves out.
Ground this up. Can I just do it this way?
Thing is, you don't bake bay leaves. You only cook with bay leaves.
Stop and think about your life.
Again, I don't know why he does it this way.
Oh, dear,
with the fucking
that
knob
worked
facing
like
the camera.
gangbusters. It's just a quick pit stop over here. Let's go back to the stove. So that's right. We're using the Dutch oven again and get it on a high heat.
Do you have enough cornbread for
Bring over
this?
Everyone's favorite margarine. And I did the math here. 1 stick plus 2 tablespoons of margarine equals 10 tablespoons of margarine. He takes margarine very seriously.
Okay, you are out of butter.
So there's 4 tablespoons.
Yeah, he's out of butter. Okay, that's why he's using the margarine tub.
8 and that's 10.
And I'm just outside Michigan? How could you, Nintendo?
8 cups of chopped onions. Then I got 4 cups of each.
That is
Celery
a
and
lot of
green
onions.
Also chopped.
Although I guess it
gotta
makes
add
sense
in
considering
half
they're
of each
using
vegetable.
sausage and there's a lot more fat in there.
Like a good boy, like you
Than
should
there
have done
is with the
first time.
giblets.
Saute this until the onions are well browned.
I see those big pieces of pepper in there, sir.
What is that racket?
It's the other stuffing.
It's the cornbread stuffing. It's finished.
Ooh.
I need to.
Oh, he did leave the bay leaves in. What the fuck,
take this
dude?
off the heat. Add in the sausage.
Can we get Alton back, please? I'm sorry. Somebody mentioned turducken earlier, so we gotta go with the turducken.
And I cook this until the sausage has started
To be honest, though,
brown.
the fooding ideas seem really good. It's just that he's sloppy with it.
Does not joke
Sloppy.
around. I need to add in.
So we do have more butter. What the fuck are we doing?
Of butter.
Huh?
We got a stick of butter and 10 tablespoons of margarine in there. The turducken isn't just for one person, it's for many.
Oh yeah,
many
it said the cookbook said it was for 15 to 25 people.
I'm gonna add in the rest of the vegetables that I prepped. Green peppers, remaining 2 cups worth.
More green
Celery,
peppers?
the same amount. 4 cups of onion, quarter cup
more?
of minced garlic. We got a couple more things we got to mix in here.
Hi, Greasy. Thank you for the follow. Welcome in. How are you doing?
All right, so that's 2 tablespoons worth.
But it's turducken. The goal is cholesterol. That's also true.
Tabasco today. In goes the Tabasco. Quarter cup of paprika. Eyeball a 3/4 teaspoon of salt. Holy hell, this is intense.
Hell yeah, baby. Seasoned so that the ancestors can feel it.
Taste, but I'm frightened. Turn down to a low heat and
you gotta season it until you feel like a Boudreaux and Thibodeau. You'll know when you reach that point.
Kind of crisp. Take about 15 minutes.
That's me. You're probably wondering how I ended
I'll
up
get
in
in
this
there.
situation.
It's a holiday week with inseparable family members, so you know.
15 minutes later,
as you do.
Add in 4 cups worth of the turducken.
4 cups? Didn't the last one just had
Bring that
one?
up to a boil. Once that's done,
I think he forgot to
reduce it
have
back
this.
Down to low. This is 5 cups of very fine breadcrumbs, not
Oh.
cornbread crumbs, just breadcrumbs. The
Well-
pan needs to be ungreased. I mean, there's so much grease in this.
Okay.
You know, it's so much grease that it doesn't. You don't
Why-
need to grease the pan.
Wait,
So
I'm
I'm gonna get this in the
confused.
oven, 425 degrees Fahrenheit for an hour and a half.
Hour and a half? That's gonna be crispy.
While that thing is baking, every 15 to 20 minutes,
I don't listen to their seasoning opinions. Correct. That's as you should.
After you've allowed the mixture to brown well on the top. A bomb has gone off in this kitchen.
Yeah, and it was
but I
you.
have to just keep going. You're just gonna have to excuse the mess. Here's the thing.
I'm also very
I
much
have
a
goal
like
in mind
clean as
for
you go
today,
kind of
where I need to
person.
be in this recipe,
So
because
seeing all that shit
I'll just
piled
say it,
behind him is
baking
stressing
a
me the fuck
turducken
out.
Takes 12 to 13 hours.
Can't even say bye again.
So
Hi,
you
Knox.
have to get to
How are you
that
doing?
part in the recipe today so that the turducken
He's
is
making
ready
turducken,
tomorrow.
but he's making the stuffing
That's
that
where
goes
I'm at
inside
right
the turducken.
This is the last of the stuffings that I gotta make, which is oyster
Wait, you're making the
dressing.
oyster? Please don't be jarred. Please don't be
And,
jarred oysters. Please don't be jarred oysters.
Let me go get the oysters.
No.
And I've had this hanging out in the fridge. 2/3 pound of freshly shucked oysters.
Okay, thank God.
In their own liquor. Right from the ocean. And they're sitting in one from the ocean.
He's a liar. He's a dirty fucking liar. You rat fucking bastard sat here and lied to our faces that you used fresh oysters in what is definitely minced oysters out of that can you tore the label off of. I respect the bit. I respect the bit completely. It's hilarious. It's even funny. But God damn it, do not lie to me that you used canned fucking oysters. Fuck you, sir. Anyway.
And they're
all right,
sitting in
Sunstar,
1
go clip
1/4
that for
cup
me.
worth of cold
I need the
and I
whole
gotta
thing from the
strain
point of, oh, hey, you better
so
be
that I
using
get the
fresh
meat,
oysters all the way till the
and
end of my
juice
rant.
will be separate.
Mods, remove
I've
this
given
man's
the bull
balls.
guy the rest of the day off, so we're on our own at this point. And I'm back at the bloody
I pulled a
stove
Fillion.
again
I staged a bit.
with a Dutch oven. Again, load in around
What the fuck
8
is that nose?
tablespoons, 9 tablespoons
More
of
margarine.
margarine. That's why I got the big tub. That should be enough.
Jesus.
Starting
You can
to
tell
feel
it's
like
been
a
sitting on his
broken
counter
record
this whole
over
time
here.
because each time he uses
The
it, it's
vegetables
softer than
are
the last.
same again. So I got 2 cups worth of chopped onions, 1 1/3 cup of green peppers.
Again, though, are we not
and
going
1
to talk about the
1/3
sheer
cup of
volume
celery.
that you
Once
made, though, of the
margarine
with the
has
andouille
melted
sausage?
halfway through, I
Hey, me.
add in half
I'm
the
doing all right.
celery, half the green peppers.
Hanging
and
in there.
you get it. Half
As
the
good as I can be during the holiday season with the family I am
gotta be
not.
serious with you.
That I
margarine
know are going to
conversion
ask the
doesn't
same
seem
questions
right to
every
me.
other day.
It seemed like way too much, so I just
That are also
drained
going to be the
some
same
of it.
questions they
If I have
ask
to
anytime
add
I
more
call
margarine
them.
down the road, I will saute the
Mods
vegetables,
cure
looking for
cancer?
the
Oh my
onions to
God.
be browned again. It's gonna take another 30 minutes. 30 minutes.
Hey, Carrie
later,
works in the
onions are
hospital, not as a
nicely
doctor,
browned.
but there's a
So,
possibility.
another seasoning mix here of salt, garlic powder, cayenne pepper, paprika, black pepper, onion powder, oregano, and dry thyme. Teaspoon and a half of minced
I bet this
garlic.
kitchen smells awesome, though.
4 minutes cooking it.
It may look like a
so. I gotta
dumpster
add
fire,
in
but I bet it
remaining
smells awesome.
margarine. Oh, okay. That's why I added so much at the beginning. I feel like there's still too much margarine in there, but okay, well, what's another tablespoon? As well as the remaining vegetables. It's kind of all the same as the last one, isn't it? Well, not anymore. I have
Coriander?
2/3 cup worth of each. Finely chopped parsley.
And chives?
Just chopped green onion, just the green part. And the bay leaves. Oh, how many bay leaves?
I'm not exactly looking
Think I
forward to
need-
this oyster stuffing.
This is
I'm
around
not gonna lie.
3 bay leaves? 3 bay leaves? How about this many bay leaves? Okay? I'm not going anywhere tonight. I can barely stand. Once the vegetables have softened, but they still got a little bit of a crunch to them.
Somebody to the kitchen by sauteing garlic and onions. Hey, it works for everybody. They're called aromatics
15
for a
minutes
reason.
Later, I'm gonna turn the heat down. I said turn it down, low heat.
Regular
I'm gonna
breadcrumbs?
Add in a cup and a half of breadcrumbs. I'm looking for something that's not gonna be runny, but not super stiff, kind of just like the sweet spot there.
Okay.
I stir the oysters into the dressing. With the addition of the oyster, that means our turducken now has officially 5 different types of meat. Turducken,
Which is
kielbasa,
3.
pork,
Oysters.
sausage,
And pork.
and now oyster. What a time to be alive. Spoon this into an ungreased
Again, though, it
baking
feels-
pan. I'm sure you know where all the
Okay,
bay
but which
leaves
is gonna
are.
go in
So
which
I'm gonna be
layer?
Baking this for around an hour. 350 degree oven.
It is apparently 222.
baking it,
Either
I'm
that
gonna be
or
looking for
he's
a dark
purposely set it to that
crust
timer on
to
the
form
microwave.
on the surface, and once it does, I can start stirring it. It's probably going to look something like dark crust like that.
Okay. It shrank a lot.
Oyster dressing has come out of the oven. I thought it was a little too cooked for a moment there, but then I started moving it around.
I also
was
think
oh, no,
like
that's
he
good.
also did very well when it came
So
to not
firstly, what I
addressing
need
the
to
smell of canned
do-
oysters.
We can
If
do
you've
both
never
of these at
opened
the
a
same
can or a
time.
jar of
So I
oysters,
have
Chad,
some more
that
fresh
shit is
parsley and then chopped
rancid.
green olives.
It makes
No,
the
that's
entire
green
fucking
peppers.
house
Holy
smell
no.
for hours.
Finely chopped parsley and chopped green onions, just the green part.
On top of that, I'm gonna
What just
add
happened?
in this tablespoon or so of softened butter.
More butter?
I'm tempted to just do it with my hands. They're clean. You got to be careful because the oyster meat is in there, and you don't want to break that apart. All right,
It's already broken apart, buddy. It came out of a
2
can.
of these. So I need a big surface here.
What fish could you put together to do a fish turducken? Oh, good lord.
Oh my
The equivalent of a fish turducken. It's probably easier to start small, so
God's name is happening here.
a
So spread
sardine.
turkey.
Well, actually, okay, if we're doing
my
freshwater, which would
surface.
probably be the
Sorry,
easiest
cutting
way for a
boards.
lot of people to do it
Inside
instead of
down
salt water.
on a flat surface, exposing as much of the meat as possible. I've already prepared
Smallmouth
the
bass.
seasoning mix here, which is this is another one of these. We've been using them all day.
A pike,
Salt,
maybe?
black pepper, white pepper, cayenne pepper, thyme, garlic powder, onion powder, paprika.
I don't know what the
Spread
middle one.
3
The middle one's probably the hardest, and I know the
tablespoons of
biggest one's going to be a
this, adding
catfish,
the
though.
Seasoning with your hands.
The biggest one's definitely going to be a
into the flaps.
catfish.
Into the flaps. I'm gonna
Canned
take
oysters,
the
lich fungus?
dressing that has the kielbasa.
Yeah,
in it
kind of.
for that one, and it has cooled off completely. Of course, like you don't want to
Okay.
put hot stuffing in here. Add this stuffing into the leg, thigh, and wing cavities until they're full of the
Ooh.
sausage filling here. Until full but not tightly packed. Into the wing cavities also. Even layer of the sausage dressing all over the exposed meat. Here comes the duck.
Okay.
And I need to spread.
It's a brick. Did it freeze? Oh, don't pull it apart
it's
like
been in
that.
the fridge for a while. So I turned the fridge on to a colder setting only for today, and it was too cold. So that really blows. Okay, I think.
No,
that
you did not put it.
will
Oh
suffice.
my god.
Now that the duck has thawed out a little bit, come on, bend those joints.
My dude.
Take around a tablespoon of the seasoning mix onto the meat, pressing it down with your hands. The cornbread dressing, 4 cups worth of
cornbread's in the middle. Oh man.
Duck has no more exposed parts. Incoming chicken. This is like the Russian doll of poultry.
All right, get upstream.
A tablespoon of the seasoning mix onto the chicken. Pat that down.
To that monstrous act. Yeah.
I should have made just the perfect amount of it. All in all, each one of these layers should be around ½ an inch thick. Enlist another person's help to carefully lift the open turducken into my baking pan. I'm acting solo here. So,
good fucking luck, dude.
Wish me luck.
Forklift time.
That fits the criteria that he's asking for in terms of baking pans. It's 15 by 11. I don't know how the hell that's gonna work. So how the hell?
Well, yeah, it's gonna push its edges up, which is totally fine.
Solo.
Oh, you're fine. You got this. You got, again, just forklift it.
Even if you had another person, how do you do this?
Again, though, that's also a good, like, I'm gonna guess 25 pounds of food. Hi, Fairbanks.
Oh my god! Oh my god! I did it! Oh, I need to take a bath.
I'm covered in raw juices.
It needs to fit snugly into that baking pan. It's very snug.
All right, now fix your stuffing.
Fold the sides of the turkey. How the f is that gonna work?
I mean, technically, you're supposed to tie it.
I had a
kind
helper.
of.
They could help hold the turkey together while I sew it up. Fresh out of helpers right now. I'm the only one around, and
I'll put that meat in my mouth. I kind of want to try it someday.
And some twine.
I just want to know.
But if we start sewing,
what the original 100% original turducken tastes like.
Just gotta be careful with the skin.
Where's Faye? Faye, we're making turducken next year.
Stitches around 1 inch apart.
Give me your meat and I'll put it in my mouth.
All right.
That's so nice.
The turkey skin suit is now.
Stream Gold Maren makes turducken. It'd be expensive as shit. You see the amount of ingredients this dude had to get?
See that?
How many onions do you think he went through? You're stressing me out, dude. You are stressing me out so bad picking it up like that.
Hey, the visuals.
I'm afraid everything's just gonna come like rolling out of the bottom.
I'm just gonna move you over here now that you're secure. So the wings just need a little TLC. They just, just a little stitch up.
Okay.
Turducken mode activated. This thing is ready to, look at that. Oh, skin side down. The turducken is breast side up.
Okay.
Holy shite. I need to use the remaining seasoning.
I was gonna say, you better be doing something to the outside.
I believe that I'm not buttering up the skin.
Correct, because you want it to brown.
Because of the way that we're cooking it, which is low and steady. 190 degrees Fahrenheit.
Do I get wheel? Oh, did you redeem Wheel of Punishment? Oh, you did redeem Wheel of Punishment. Okay, hold on. Hold your horses. Looks like my fat ass. Oh, no. Oh, shit. Okay. We gotta do 25 push-ups. All right, I'll start this back and then I'll do the 25 push-ups.
And I think...
Oh, I'm frozen. Why am I frozen?
Going that method, slow and steady, along with...
Well, yeah, because you're cooking 3 different birds that need 3 different temperatures.
Should get like a nice brown skin on this. That's what I'm hoping. Crispy and brown.
Hold on.
That's why we're not buttering it, I think. I'm so tired. Holy hell, this weighs as much as I do.
Okay, let's do these.
Good luck, turducken. So I feel like a walking zombie right now. I started this yesterday morning. It's now 6 o'clock in the morning. So I pulled an all-nighter making a turducken.
8, 9, 10.
I had a couple pauses where I just caught my breath. And when I was baking one of the stuffings, I did take a quick nap, closed my eyes just for like a moment while it was in the oven, and then I woke up to a beep, beep, beep. So this should be arriving just on time for dinner. So that's great. You know what's not great is this huge mess, because Do I clean?
Okay.
Do I sleep?
Huh?
I think I have to clean first.
You have to clean.
Disaster.
You have to fucking clean. You say, wait, did he go to bed and then get up at 6 in the morning? Is that what he said? I need to lose some pounds for a wedding? Ooh. He sleeps on the couch. Where's your bedroom at, dude? I'm scared. I'm scared it's gonna burn.
Spent the day
That says-
roasting a turducken.
It says 12. It's
Not
now
that many people
noon.
can say that, I don't think. I feel a little more alive here, so let's.
I sleep on the couch. Hey, the couch is comfortable.
We're on hour 10 of a 12 to 13
Blood and bird juice in that corner?
I didn't feel like I
What?
needed to monitor the temperature of the turducken through the day because it was such a slow cook. It's like, okay, I don't really need to know. Now I do, because the thing is chugging along and I'd like to take a look and see what it's at. So I'm gonna probe
digital
it.
thermometers?
Not once, but twice with the Typher Sync Gold here.
Yeah, the like $200 fucking
So
thermostat.
one of the probes is going to go directly into the center of the white meat. The other one, I want to check the leg here. So in between the thigh area. Of course, the goal is 165 degrees Fahrenheit. And then back in it goes for a couple more hours.
And boom.
Never cooked this many birds all at once before, so I want to ensure that it's fully cooked through, like all three of
Some
the
of
birds.
the
So
some
I'm
of the
gonna stick
joints
probe
have
in a
gotten
couple different
overly
places.
crispy.
Hey, it's ready on all fronts here. I'm gonna leave it out and rest for an hour.
Okay.
So who's ready to party? Sweet potato and eggplant gravy coming right up.
What? I'm sorry.
Skip
What
heat
in the
going
what?
on
With the
my
huh and the
Dutch
who?
oven. This is turducken rendered fat. 1 cup worth. In total, this is 8 cups worth of chopped eggplant. I add in 6 cups to start. I saute the eggplant until
I've
it's
never heard of
translucent,
this kind of
brown,
gravy.
and soft. It's gonna take around 5 minutes. After that's done, add in the remaining eggplant. And 2 cups and 2 cups of chopped onion. Cook until the mixture starts to brown from all the sediment scraped into it, like the fond, the browns.
Yeah, to scrape the bottom in that sweet, sweet Dutch
continue
oven.
to cook until I can easily scrape that up into the mixture. 2 cups of finely chopped sweet potato.
Oh,
Cook this for 4 minutes. In goes 2 teaspoons of minced garlic, 2 bay leaves.
All the
I'll
bay
double
leaves.
it. Not wearing that t-shirt anymore, but you know why. 3 tablespoons of a seasoning mix that includes salt, white pepper, cayenne pepper, dry mustard, and thyme.
White pepper and Cajun cooking,
Stir
huh?
that well. 2 cups of my turducken stock.
That does not
Cook
look like
that
2
for
cups.
5 minutes. I have a total of 1 cup of dark brown sugar. Add half of it in now. 2
Okay, this is
minutes
just-
later, add in
this is
another
just
2 cups of
liquefied
stock.
sweet yams.
He says the continuous addition of stock, the way we're doing it, is going to result in a richer gravy. I'm all for it. Well, I don't care right now. I mean, if this recipe wasn't so damn long, I would be all for it, but
Honestly, at this point, that's the expected reaction.
just want to go home. I am
I was gonna say that's you're also taking a recipe from a man who very obviously owned a restaurant where he had an
Stirring
entire staff
continuously,
helping
and
him
then
make
another
this
10 minutes
turducken.
Later, the rest of the brown sugar, 2 more cups of stock.
That is
continuing
so
to
much
stir for
gravy, dude.
Another 10 minutes. 2 more cups of stock. 15 minutes with the heat up high, and then I'm gonna reduce the heat.
Who had this
let it
idea?
simmer
Some
for
dude in
another
Louisiana.
15 minutes. So that's gonna be half an hour. I'll see you then.
Some popular chef in Louisiana.
Half an hour later, 2 more cups of stock.
What the fuck?
Hey. And then I simmer that for 5 more minutes. Time to strain
There's no way.
Gentle. Extracting as
What
much
is the
liquid
point
as
of the
possible.
eggplants and
Need
stuff
a
if
4-quart saucepan. Perfect fit. 2 cups worth of chopped sweet potato. And then it says 2 more cups of stock, but I
What
feel like
the
that's
fuck are we
overkill. I don't
doing?
know what we're doing anymore. Why is this so much work? Okay, on a high heat, I'm gonna bring it to a boil, then I'm gonna reduce the heat and simmer for 1 hour.
Are you
Crack
just
open the
condensing
good
like
stuff.
all the fat that's in the stock?
2 2 tablespoons of Grand Marnier.
That does not look like 2 tablespoons, my guy.
And when you know it, I have to simmer it for even more time. 10 minutes.
This is like a $300 fucking dish, by the way.
Finely chopped green onions. Just
adding in the Grand Marnier is like another fucking like $30.
Again, and the remaining 2 cups worth.
And I know you're not using the whole thing, but you have to buy the bottle.
I simmer for 20 minutes, and hopefully this is reduced down to around 6 cups worth.
That's my kind of tablespoon of alcohol. Listen,
experience has been surreal.
I would be livid with how long that went on.
Is this smart?
No, because
no regrets. The gravy is done.
That's definitely a Walmart gravy boat.
So the turducken has a little more color in the skin. That's because I was looking at it, it looked a little pale, brushed it lightly with butter, and just had it in the oven, 450 degrees Fahrenheit, very briefly. And then the color just showed up, and I was like, okay, I'm good. So I removed it, so it is a little hot. Now the main thing I gotta figure out
it is technically gravy. It is gravy.
Much fat in this roasting pan. We know what ducks can do over here. Of course, they're fat machines, but then you throw in a chicken and a turkey, and you just get so much of it in there that it's halfway up the pan.
I was gonna say it's currently bathing in it.
Roasting pan.
I'm a little excited to see. Oh, that wing fell off.
I think it's important for all of us to see how much fat is in this pan.
Oh.
4 cups worth.
Hell yeah.
4 cups of
you know
fat.
what that is?
Holy
That's a cooking ingredient right there. We're gonna make chicken sandwiches in that bitch.
Order up.
All right, show me this cross section. Show me the payoff. Give me the money shots. Okay.
Turducken. That's the turducken. That's a fucking turducken.
Okay, I need a bite. I need a bite like really fucking bad. A future noodle soup recipe right there. Ooh.
Whoops.
That's a shitty gravy boat. Ooh. Okay. I mean, with all the stuff thrown into it, can you also imagine how calorie dense this dish is?
It's the turkey. No, that's the chicken. Where's the turkey? This one is. It's a lot of work for one person.
Yeah, and now you have enough food to feed fucking an extended family.
It's manageable, but just one person. I don't know. I liked it all very much.
He already gets points over Chef's Club. He ate it. True. He already had points because he actually made a real dish.
Than I ever thought it would be.
And used a cookbook.
That spice mix that I kept adding.
The gravy needs to be thicker. Well, the goal is that you have 3 different kinds of stuffing in there. The stuffing is going to soak it up.
And it's in every component, I believe. And it's spicy. Everything was spicy in an enjoyable way.
Well, yeah, because you put paprika and Tabasco and all that stuff in there to give it that little bit of kick.
Is you know, a lot to deal with. You're eating chicken, but then all of a sudden you're like, no, that's the turkey.
I think he needs at least 2 more cups of stock. Oh my god.
But then the duck is there.
Oh yeah, that plate was an entire all you needed to eat for the whole day.
The other 2 much different than
this
the other 2.
dude is
I took a big bite of the duck skin. I could have done without that. I don't know how that made its way in there. Well, because the skin was on, but that was the one thing where I was like, okay, well, I didn't need that.
It's overflowing on like 4 plates.
Really rendered out all that.
Correct.
Fat that just.
Again, I mean, of course it is. It's a serving of 15 to 25 people.
Very moist. It's juicy and is unique.
It sounds delicious,
my
dude.
My favorite of the 3 stuffings ended up being the sausage one. That's the one I couldn't get. I couldn't get enough of that one.
That makes sense. The fucking sausage stuffing sounds awesome.
But
I'm very partial to cornbread stuffing.
Just how difficult it was.
Yes, duck meat is very oily, which is why it's probably a good reason that it was like in the middle.
Turducken. I mean, besides the few lights that are shining down on me right now, I'm basically just eating this in the dark by myself. That's not how it's meant to be served. I think this is the one thing that kind of lost
Call the homies.
plot.
It's time to call the homies.
The gravy. And it was good. It had like a spicy sweet potato thing going on.
Okay, that makes sense.
Spicy and sweet.
Especially because a lot of
And
the
I
stuff
liked it.
in the turducken itself
But
is
the
fatty,
amount of
oily,
steps that were involved, just right at the end there,
proteins.
it's like, I don't want to keep
With
doing
tons of
this, but I
aromatics
must.
just all shoved in there.
Simmering.
So adding like the
5, 10,
sweetness.
15, 25 minutes, an hour. It just kept simmering. And
Oh
you know,
yeah,
I'm also the
I
same
think
guy
I honestly
that
think that gravy was
completely
entirely
drenched
meant
my
to
plate with
balance
it.
out the
Moistened
flavors,
everything up, so it really added to it.
to mellow
also.
everything out.
So, you know, what the hell do I know?
Chicken and
Not
duck
much,
and turkey,
but
yes. Yes, yes, yes.
That's turducken. That's the freaking
Head off for work. Have a good time, Dreaded. Thank you for hanging out.
Okay.
It was just Russian at the end.
Honestly, I just had enough.
I'm not surprised, dude.
Yeah, I'm just kind of.
He's not gonna cook anything for the next like
It's early
3
again.
weeks.
So,
Oh, is
that's
it 2
That's
a.m.?
all. This was Spine and Dine. Bon appetit. Au revoir.
Oh my god. Okay. Okay. Okay, we are not doing that one. Chat. Do we want some tasting history? I believe we had duck meat inside of a fubble before. I've had it in shit. What's the Thai noodle dish? It has like peanuts. Pad Thai. That's it. I've had crispy duck on Pad Thai, and it is so good. It's so fucking good. Hi, Knox. Just jamming. All right. Unfortunately, he doesn't have one that's... This is making me hungry. I'm already hungry, dude. That's why I was eating corn chips during last commercial break. There was no more corn salsa. And what? Peking duck? Peking duck? Ooh. Peking duck is really good. I saw a video recently of somebody cutting into a Peking duck, and it basically looked like it was candied. But I think what we'll do instead is we'll do one that's kind of American, like this Indian pudding.
Pudding, and it is the perfect marriage of old world ingredients
Methinks.
and new world ingredients. Now, you don't
Back to
find
Lurky
it
Lurk, so
very
thank you,
often
me.
today, except at a few restaurants in New England, and of course on shows like this. So today I'm going to be making a 19th century recipe for Indian pudding, perfect for your Thanksgiving table. So we uncover the history of America's
that was a
Indian
sponsor
pudding,
skip.
this time on Tasting History.
I always forget about the sponsor skip, but I'm always grateful for it.
So what
thank you,
exactly
Meme.
is
Thank you for hanging
Indian
out. Thank you for the
about
lurk.
Indian pudding? Well, it is the main ingredient, corn. See, the dish was originally
Okay, hold on.
made
I'm gonna let this run
similarly
because
to a
I just remember
classic
there's something
British
I want to
pudding, but
fix.
Instead of using wheat, the British colonists of the 17th and 18th century used maize, which they called Indian corn.
Because I just
Indian
noticed
pudding.
something
Now, there are numerous
that
ways
I want to
make this
change,
pudding.
and
Some
it's
are
going to
really
bother me
fancy,
because
but
I'll
generally,
definitely forget
they're
later.
Pretty simple, just corn, molasses, and milk. And that's why, in around the year 1800, Count Rumford wrote, "In America is called a plain Indian pudding. Certainly holds the first place, and cannot fail to be liked. It is not only cheap
Cannot
and
fail
wholesome,
to be
but a
liked? Are you
great
sure?
Delicacy." Now, since there are many ways to make this pudding, I first opted for one of the more complex, which included eggs and butter, and came from the 1796 cookbook American Cookery by Amelia Simmons. And I have no doubt that this recipe could work with the right method, but she doesn't really give much of a method, and so when I followed exactly what she said, it turned out to be a complete disaster. I mean, look at this thing. It's really soft and undercooked. At the same time, it's really hard and overcooked. Honestly,
Wait, how the fuck did that happen?
A miracle of physics, and I decided I needed to do something else. So after my frustration subsided, I decided to look at a slightly later recipe from 1829, written by Lydia Child. Now, Lydia Child, besides being a
Wait, the
cookbook
Lydia
author
Child?
and
Damn.
novelist, was an abolitionist and an activist for the rights of Native Americans, which seems appropriate for this dish and will be made clear when we get to the history section of the video. Now, the recipe comes from her cookbook called The American Frugal Housewife, dedicated to those who are not ashamed of economy, and is for baked Indian pudding. Indian pudding is good baked. Scald a quart
I have
of
fixed
milk,
the thing.
skimmed milk will do.
I
And
changed
serve 7
the subs from
tablespoonfuls
total
of
subs
sifted
back
Indian
to
meal,
instead of
a
weekly, it's
teaspoonful
daily
of salt,
subs.
a teacupful
So
of
now it
molasses,
only counts the
and a
subs
great
that we get
spoonful of
during
ginger
stream.
or sifted cinnamon. Bake 3 or 4
Maybe
hours.
that'll get
If you
around
want whey,
Stream
just be
Element's
sure and
really
pour in a
stupid,
little
broken as
milk
shit
after it is
timetables.
all mixed. Now, a 3 or 4 hour bake is quite a long bake, but there are other recipes that
Speaking of
bake it
lurks,
for
who's out
5
there?
to 6, and still others that have you boil it for up to 12
pleasure?
hours. So
What's your
for that,
fear?
what you'll need is 1 quart or
Sugar!
1
Oh my
liter of milk,
goodness!
skimmed or whole
A
milk,
lost child
a half
returns.
cup or
Hold
80
on.
grams of
So yeah, I was gonna say, speaking of lost children, welcome home, Sugar. How are you doing, bud? You've been subscribed this whole time? That's fucking crazy, dude. Sunstar, I found the person that outdoes you. Hold on, now I gotta double check. I gotta double check. Oh, no, wait, I think Sunstar has the longer follow. Sugar is January 14th, 22. December 12th, 2021. Yep, by like a month. Outdone followed by a month, but has the longer sub timer. But Sunstar also is almost entirely tier 3. I don't know. But I think Sugar is the longest sub streak of the channel. Hi, Autumn. Yeah, this is the usual model. This is what wasn't working yesterday. Welcome in. How are you doing?
1 teaspoon of salt, a half cup or 180 grams of molasses, 1.5 teaspoons of ginger or cinnamon.
Relatively trained, strategized, planned something and had structure. Everything was planned carefully. Society could get as far as it did today. We can't. Don't protest like we used to. Correct.
Just below the boiling point. So slowly.
Oh god, it's the hexagon pans. Is it? I kind of think the hexagon pans are cool. Anybody else?
Stirring constantly. So
I want hexagon pans someday.
You can also
they always
use a
just seem so
double
cool.
boiler if you have one. As it warms, whisk the salt into the cornmeal, and then once the milk hits 180
What emotes come with tier 3? I'm pretty sure it's the marinate. Yeah,
Continue
the salt
to stir
one.
on very low heat for 10 minutes. That'll give some time for the cornmeal to absorb a good
Finally got it back together. Well, hell yeah, Sugar. I'm glad it's working out.
To the bottom of the pot. That actually may have been one of
Oh
the
yeah, we
mistakes
love
that I
watching
made with the
Tasting
other
History with
disaster
Max.
pudding that I made.
We like to talk about it. Sometimes they
Now,
talk
after
history
10
lessons
minutes,
that
you
he
wanna
just like
add in
leaves
the
out.
molasses and stir for another
Ooh,
2 minutes.
okay, that's a
and then
gorgeous
finally
color.
Add in the ginger, and it's best if you sift it in so it doesn't clump. Stir for another minute or until everything is nice and
Ginger.
smooth, and then take it off the heat. Then butter a 9 by 9 inch baking dish and pour the pudding mixture into it. Now here the recipe says that if you want whey,
so it's
then you
pudding
should
mix
add
because
some
the
cold milk.
eggs. I'm
And
pretty sure
I
he
see
had
this in a
eggs,
lot of
right?
the 19th century recipes for Indian pudding, and what that is I guess they wanted the whey in the milk to separate for some reason. It was very popular at the time, but later recipes don't seem to always include that. So
Okay,
maybe it
but
went out of
why?
fashion. I don't know.
Does it create a
But I
texture
figure
difference?
I'll give it a shot. So I'm going to pour a half cup of the cold milk in, and I'm not going to stir it. Just set it straight into the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit, 150 Celsius, and bake for 3 to 4 hours.
It's so funny seeing
And while it
how
bakes,
much
I
he's
wanted to let you know
upgraded
that
his
I was
kitchen
finally
over
able to
time.
Get some more tasting history pins in stock.
Oh my
There
God,
is,
wait.
Of course, the logo.
Wait.
and I was able to get some more tasting history.
Oh my god, there's a hardtack. There's a hardtack pin. Also, that garum pin is actually really cool. I like that. But the hardtack. Quick, somebody redeem hardtack. Thank you, Neko. Anyway.
3 pins in stock. There is, of course, the logo, the beautiful garum bottle, and you can't forget the hardtack. They sold out in like 2 days last time I got them, so if you want them, I'll put a link in the description, but once they're gone, they're probably gone for quite some time. And now,
Clip
let us
it.
look at
Clip
the
it and ship it,
origins of
Sunstar.
that most American pudding, Indian pudding.
He did the thing. He always does the thing when
It's kinda
hardtack's
hard to know
mentioned.
where to start with the history of this pudding because there are lots of places that I could start, but for lack of
Why
a
does
better
he have that
place,
little heart
let's
dragon
start
in the
with
background
hasty
for this
pudding.
one?
Now the first recipes for hasty pudding date from the 17th century, many from Robert May's The
Hasty, that says
Accomplished Cook.
hafty.
Now originally hasty pudding was so called because it was hasty. It didn't take a long time to make.
We're shouldn't
Back
both
then,
throw that in
making
whatever
pudding
heat
was
source
an
you have.
all-day affair. You would have your flour
Are you making the
and
clippers
fat,
work
and you'd
today?
use
I
some
want
fruit,
more
and
clips.
you'd put it in a
I
bag and
actually
boil
sat
it
here and
for like
stared
10
at the
to 12 hours.
cop one from
But,
the vampire
according
thing.
to
I
the
even have it downloaded. I've had it
1633
downloaded for like a
writings of
couple
Thomas
weeks
Haywood,
now.
He said of
And I was
hasty
watching it on
pudding longer
repeats.
in eating than it was in making. And yes,
Oh.
he wrote then, even though it should be than.
And I was looking at it and I was like,
different the English language is today because
what
an
could I
English
edit
teacher,
this
like
with?
my
And then I
mother,
like ended up
would
overthinking it
mark
and
out
not having the
then
will to do
and
it.
use
But I need to get back to it.
Anyway, while hasty pudding should be very
I think it is.
quick
I think it's
to
just the way
make,
that they drew the
by
S.
the time Robert May was writing, some of them take several hours
Here.
to make.
Because Look at that curve in the name. I think that's supposed to be an S, but it's like, it's stretched for some reason. Like it may have something to do with the way that the blocks they use to print this is. Because they use like an F without its wings. Boil a pint of thick cream with a spoonful of flour. Thievin with nutmeg. Thievin, but it's definitely season. Fugger. And fault. So yeah, the S's in this for some reason are strange extended little things.
But it is likely the more simple hasty pudding that
I felt like I was going to say like I don't know, like a slur or something. That did not feel right.
At the end and middle
Bumper 15, Fungerfing foot fetish. Fasting foot and Fungerfing burger. Bumba Felt's foot fungus.
They couldn't make them the way that they did back in England because they didn't have
bringing that one back.
To make flour.
Bringing that one back.
What they did have was the North American version, and that would be corn.
Okay.
Now, the Native Americans of the region had been using corn or maize
bringing foot lettuce.
to make many dishes.
I can do it with any letter. There's a clip somewhere of me doing it starting from the alphabet and going backwards.
Wrote of a meal prepared by the Mississippians, saying that the first course was a great wooden platter full of sagamite. That is to say, meal of Indian corn boiled in water and seasoned with fat. So it's not exactly a British boiled
Season
pudding,
everything with
but
fat.
It is similar to the more
the
simplified
macaroni
hasty puddings that were
with the
popular
chicken
back in
strips.
England. And a slightly earlier description of this dish, though it's actually by a different name, talks about
Flash the
how
highlights.
the British colonists took the dish and changed it to make it their own.
That sounds like the British. Did they take out all the stuff that made it tasty?
Puritan minister Roger Williams wrote the first dictionary of the Algonquin language known as Narragansett, and he described nosomp, a kind of meal pottage, unparched.
Unhelped to the language of the natives in that part of America called New England.
Boiled and eaten hot or cold with milk or butter, which are mercies beyond the natives' plain water, and which is a dish exceeding wholesome.
Never changed? No, I want to do better. I want partner. I have to change. Something has to change, Fairbanks.
Would actually turn into
I need help. I want that check mark.
When it was
I'm going to blow up and act like I know nobody.
Boiled for a long time. Now that
I want to blow up so I can afford to go do things with friends, like go to conventions and go hang out with people on the weekend or days off.
Because it was where
it's Twitch that needs to change. I wish.
Entered the language.
Twitch would never admit that.
Like moccasin, moose, papoose, powwow, squash, and succotash. Also, he himself was quite an interesting man. He was a Puritan and a minister, but he was remarkably forward-thinking for his age and where he was
You'd be too cool for us in the future. Not like that, you fucking dork.
And a complete separation
yeah, succotash is always a satisfying word.
Often put
Stop
him
word
at
succotash.
loggerheads with the other Puritans in Massachusetts, which is
just
why
doesn't
he
add it
got
sometimes.
kicked out of the colony and had to start his own little plantation, Providence Plantation.
Wait, are you talking about? Were you adding? No, wait, I forget. Did I give you privilege to add emotes to 7 TV?
The Somp,
I honestly probably should.
Even by 1643,
I probably should.
The foundations of what would become Indian pudding were there. There was the North American ingredient of maize or Indian corn and the European ingredients of butter and milk, which were not used in native cuisine at the time. Now, they didn't seem to be sweetening the dish with sugar or molasses, which hadn't really come over yet, but they did start adding berries. In England, they would usually use Zante currants, or the small currants that came from
that
Greece.
makes sense.
But in America, where they didn't have those,
does that mean we can get new pants grab that works?
Blueberries. The Indians dry them in the sun and
does it not
sell them
work?
to the English by the bushel, who make use of them instead of currants.
Oh, wasn't it? It was etc., isn't it?
And baked and into
isn't it etc. The pants grab?
The British had started to bring over sugar.
Or is it etc. with the dots? That's not etc. with the dots.
So you tend to see most of the berries fall out of the recipe.
Okay, it's just pants grab. I had changed it to etc. because the Nedu would kept doing it.
By the end of the 18th century, Indian pudding had become so popular in New England that it actually made its way back across the pond to Old
I
England
don't really
to
have the money for additional emotes right now.
Not only of the pudding,
the emotes that we actually do have another emote on its way, an animated emote.
I believe to be beyond comparison the most nourishing, cheapest, and most wholesome that can be procured.
Are we gonna talk about this man's nose? The man has a parrot for a nose. What is that? Sir! Why do your knees look like that?
For feeding the poor. The common people in the northern parts
He's
of
got a
Italy
massive
live almost
honker.
entirely upon it. And throughout the whole continent of
It's
America,
huge.
it makes a principal
It looks like a
article of
parrot's
food.
beak.
He says in Italy they were eating it as polenta, and it was very
Oh,
similar
the
to
cheese?
the hasty pudding that was popular in Britain. And he says that
Wait,
this
isn't
Indian
polenta
corn
cheese?
was much more nourishing than rice, which was the
How much is there a
common
need
food
for
of many
more
of the
emotes?
people in England
Emotes
at
are
the time.
like
Now he says it can be used to
$15,
make a
$20
bread,
ish from
cornbread,
QB.
essentially. But
For
it is better
Ash,
to
they're
use to
60.
make a pudding that would be boiled, similar to the recipe that we're making today, except
Ah,
that
yes,
he
the
does
figgy
offer
pudding.
it to be put into a bag and boiled for 8 to 12 hours. And then he says it should be served with a sauce of either brown sugar and
Is it bad? I
butter
kinda want some figgy
or
pudding.
vinegar, which seems odd. But if vinegar
Oh,
isn't
by
your bag
dudeness?
on your
Dudeness.
pudding, then he does say that there are other ways to kind of zhuzh it up.
I thought
by
to do
adding
VTuber just
various
as they
kinds of
graduate? No,
berries
not
found
like that
wild in
legendary.
woods, such as huckleberries,
No, it's just this
bellberries,
week.
whortleberries,
The family's showing up
etc.
tomorrow, and I
dried
have to,
cherries
after
and
stream
plums
today,
may
I
be
am
made use
cleaning.
of
Hi,
in the
Jay
same
Sizzle.
manner. Whortleberries, I love
Speaking of food and a professional, how are you doing, Jay Sizzle? You missed it earlier. We were watching a guy make a turducken and basically ruin his kitchen in the process. Bacon? Ooh. Are you bacon? Am I bacon? Who's bacon? He, she, we, bacon? No. I love watching Max Miller. We watch it all the time to the point where we have a hardtack redeem. Hit him with the hardtack, chat. I think it's off cooldown. Please be off cooldown. It's on cooldown, isn't it? Thank you. Anyway. I'm vibing like a honeybud breakdancing against the chicken who crossed the road. What? That is a comparison I've never heard.
Making a mother of all omelets here, Jack. Can't spread over every egg.
At least we know Ordain's still here. How are you doing, Ordain? What have you been up to, though, Jay Sizzle? I haven't got to see any of your posts in a long time. Twitter is a fucking nightmare on actually showing me people I want to see. Now I just get the fucking constant barrage of what everybody else is retweeting that I'm just like, who are you? Who are you people? Why are you on my feed? But yeah, I hate Twitter. Half the time I sometimes open Twitter to make a post and then I'll scroll Twitter a little bit. I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Getting back into cooking? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. It keeps skipping. I can still watch it, but I miss some seconds. I'm not dropping any frames. It could be an internet thing on your side. Insert something Sunstar and Blue Sky. Blue Sky is the exact same thing. I get so bored on Blue Sky so quickly that right now the only reason I still use it is because I know there's some people that only have a Blue Sky now. A lot of people got rid of their Twitter and use Blue Sky. Sounds like a skill issue. It's very much a skill issue. Why are we here? Just to suffer? What's wrong, Autumn? Also, look at his fucking face. Excuse me while I just go ahead and... screen grab that. Gonna go put that in general chat real quick. Sometimes I like taking faces from Twin Paranormal, How to Drink, and Max.
Which is the European blueberry, even though it's actually not a blueberry. But
I was gonna say, aren't blueberries
anyway,
North American?
Rumford introduced Indian pudding to Europe. It
So
was
that
also
explains
making its
it.
way as far as Australia, where as late as 1830, corn or Indian corn, maize, was seen as only fit for animal consumption.
Cowards.
This led newspapers
Cowards,
to have
every
run
one of you.
articles discussing Indian corn, the uses of maize as human food, and these tended to include recipes for.
Are we going to talk about the undertones of them not considering something that they called Indian corn as human food? Nope. Okay, carrying
Indian
on.
pudding. It also became popular in the American South to some degree, finding its way into cookbooks like the Virginia Housewives.
Oh, no!
Really, it was in New England where this dish
Oh my goodness, not
flourished.
the
In
prawn
fact,
hub.
It was said to be one of the favorite dishes of our second president, John Adams.
Bastard.
A cousin of John Adams's family, Josiah Quincy,
I don't trust anybody that has the name Quincy in their
I
name.
well remember the modest dinners at the president's to which I brought a schoolboy's appetite.
What do you mean feed it to the swine?
Of boiled cornmeal,
That was the
always
staple food of
constituted the
native
first
groups for
course.
centuries, almost their entire
It being
existence.
thought desirable to take the edge off one's hunger.
I'm so sorry,
before
Fairbanks.
reaching the joint of meat.
This is like finding out that Kono's related to another famous individual.
From the depths of a pudding in which it had been unwittingly cooked. And even long after
Anyway.
he left office, after his wife Abigail had passed away, Indian pudding still found a place on the table of John Adams.
Yeah.
In 1820, at the age of 85,
Kono's
he wrote
related
his
to a
daughter-in-law
famous
about
president.
how content he was living at his home in New England. There, he kept busy doing simple, old-fashioned
Don't worry about
things
it.
like making shoes,
Don't worry
and
about it.
weaving cloth,
Don't think
eating
about it.
fat turkeys,
I'm not gonna
roast
tell you who it
beef,
was.
and Indian pudding, and more than that, mince pies and
Roast
plum pudding in
beef.
abundance.
I'm not a big fan of
besides
roast beef.
cranberry tarts. I also love that at the
Plum
end of
puddings.
his letter, just like grandparents today, he kind of has to beg for his grandsons
Oh,
to
no.
pay him some attention and write to him.
No,
Tell the
I'm not
boys
gonna tell you
they
if you're
do
correct.
Not write to me. I will
But
set
you
up
were not correct with
pretensions of
Nixon.
The authority over them as a grandfather. Sadly, as John Adams by this time was kind of seen as a relic of the colonial period of America, so too did Indian pudding seem like a relic. It was already seen as
Captain Cook.
kind of
Okay, what does that
old-fashioned.
do?
Now it didn't go away.
Same thing with like being, it just
but
like
was
being related to
definitely
famous
not
people is always,
in
people are always
vogue
like, I'm related to so and so. Oh yeah?
In an 1818
Well, I'm named
poem
after a
called
world famous
Baked
chemist,
Beans, the
Nobel
author,
Peace
who was
Prize
an
winner.
older
Fuck you, not
gentleman,
Peace Prize, Nobel
wistfully
Chemistry
recalls
Prize
his
winner.
youth
Why did I?
in New England,
Nobel Peace Prize
often
on
talking
chemistry.
about
That is not what that
foods
is.
he had. Oh,
Nobel
how my
Chemistry
heart
Prize.
sighs
There we
for
go.
my own native land, where potatoes and squash.
Can we all claim to be related to President Barron? You're just gonna be like the guys that's like, oh, I knew them before they were big. I knew them before they were cool.
Pies smoke in a row. Oh, give me my country, the land of my teens, of the dark Indian pudding and pot of baked beans.
And pot of
But
baked
just because
beans.
something is seen as old-fashioned, that doesn't mean
Did you
that
say
it
the
fades
Knicks?
away entirely.
No, I
In
said the
fact,
Mets.
dish
All about the
had a
Mets,
bit of
baby.
a
The Mets. The Mets,
resurgence
baby.
in the mid-19th century with the abolitionist movement. It was
Well, yeah,
often
probably because it was
seen
readily
as
available to
a
make.
better dish rather than rice pudding, which was then popular because rice at the time was mostly coming from the Carolinas, a product of slave labor.
I knew them back when they were a zombie. Yeah, the like
Then
first
it
week.
had another resurgence around 1876 when
Oh, it was probably like a
foods which
couple
had been
weeks.
popular at the founding of the country.
It took a little bit.
were laid
It took a
out
little
on
bit.
tables to celebrate America's centennial. And even after the centennial parties had ended, the dish remained relevant in New
Goodness.
England, especially in Massachusetts. Where
Wait,
it
what
was
the
a
fuck does
common
that say?
inclusion in
Something
cookbooks
canal?
Through the 1940s.
Wait,
In fact,
wait.
It was actually a common inclusion.
Oh no. There's an old bookstore I know that has this book, that has a physical copy that was still readable. Oh man, I should have got it. It was like $3. It's probably still there. I could go back anytime and probably still find it.
In fact, it was actually the famous.
I remember
dish
before she
served
went
at the
rounds.
Toll House in
Well, no, my name was
Massachusetts
always that.
By Ruth Wakefield. It was only after.
No, there's
she
only one
invented
person that's
chocolate
in my
chip
community that
cookies
knows me before I was
that,
merry-go-round,
the
and that's
Indian
Drip
pudding
Lizard.
started to become less popular. and
Because
people
we
don't
were
really cook.
roomies.
Of course, by then the dish had changed substantially. It
We'd
was
been
typically
friends
made a lot sweeter.
at this point,
and,
12
was
years?
definitely more of a dessert and was often served.
Honestly, the
and
longest
still
friend
is
I've ever
today,
had.
Often served with some ice cream. But our version is not served with ice cream.
No!
Many
Give me
of the
back the ice
recipes
cream.
From this time do say to serve it with a thickened cream.
Not the whipped cream. No, give me the ice cream. I want the
So
ice
that's
cream.
what I'm going to do once I take it out.
I
of
forgot
the
how I
oven.
ended up here, but
So
I'm
once
glad I
it's baked
did.
For 3 hours, take it out
You
of
know,
the
I
oven
don't remember
and let
either.
it cool pretty much entirely.
Ooh.
Now you'll see that the top has
Looks like
created
caramel.
kind of a film, and I'm not sure if that's right or not. Really can't tell with this recipe, but that's where we are.
It just looks, he looks horrified. He just manifested one day, just zoom into the room, floating. Ordain, sit on the floor or don't sit at all, you fucking goober. Anyway, chat, it's about to be ad break time. Now, I'm not going to go anywhere. Instead, I'm going to sit here and I'm going to bully you for the next 3 minutes. And yell at you about not finishing the game. Sure you're doing dishes. Totally. That's a bar. That's a flute. Flute. Bar? No. Concert. No. Ice cube. Ice cube, one word? Ice. Is that Sam Sulek? Why did I sit down? I like floating. Because you're blocking the view of some people, Ordain. Sit down. It's audience etiquette, mister. Are we going to have to do etiquette lessons in the future? Chat. Are we going to have to do etiquette lessons in the future? Is that what this is going to be? Don't care? I'll take that diamond back. That's my diamond. I'm keeping that diamond. Any last requests, Ordain? Any last requests? Are you willing to put your butt in a seat yet? ×5 on Ordain. Okay. Okay. No last words, just okay. Nothing. Really. Matchbox. Firefighter. Volleyball? Is no one else playing? Airport? Oh, I think it was air show. It's your diamond? That's what I said. It's my diamond. Yeah, apparently y'all don't like the drawings either. Oh, well. Here, we'll do one more round. We'll do one more round just because I don't want to swap the game, because by the time I swap the game, it's going to be much later. Screaming my diamonds? Oh my god. No! Bad. Cease, desist. Okay. Wait, what the hell? Is that, wait, who's posting the Veggie Tales, making a post of on never forgetting 9/11? Dig, is that you? What the fuck are you doing? What the shit is that? What the shit is that? Coconuts. Pizza. Guitarist. Guitar. Rock. Business. Businessman. Floating. Float. Ta-da! How could you not even think of that, Ordained? You were just talking about it. Now you have to get out of stop floating. Put your butt in a chair. Put your butt on a bench. Tent. Camping? Camping tent. Baby. Damn it. Anyway. Drippling? What is a drippling? What? What is a drippling, Sunstar? I got one that's all that matters. Listen. Why brick? Brick. Because brick. Sits on one of the lampposts. Those are pointed. You know that, right? Look, it's supposed to be bees, okay? This is good news. We can be bees. We'll live for 30 years. We can be bees. God damn it. You did this to me.
But once it cooled entirely, it did firm up. So
Okay.
serve it up and add a bit of lightly whipped cream.
No, I
And
want
here
vanilla
we are.
ice cream.
An Indian pudding from Lydia Child's The Frugal House.
Oh, were we basically right at the end? Oh, we were a little close to the end.
This is one of the least attractive dishes I have ever made.
It looks weirdly like.
It does not look pretty.
It looks weirdly
but
meaty.
It smells so good. The molasses.
Just to
and
be
the
male
ginger-
vegan. Well, most of them are males.
If you did cinnamon, that would work too. It smells really, really good in my house right now. Now, back when this was written, this was usually eaten cold the day after it was made.
Cold?
But you can reheat it and eat it warm. Today, it's usually eaten warm, and by the 20th century, it was usually eaten warm. But it's
Okay.
really up to you. Here we go.
Oh, it is really thick. It looked more like, I don't know, like white people taco nights, taco meats.
Oh, that is really, really good.
You choose to be something and you choose to be male.
Really
God damn
attractive.
it.
Really, really tasty.
What
though.
the fuck is that? Is that fucking Sunny?
The molasses is the dominant flavor, but it's
That's
not
a
bitter
good
at all, 'cause
emote.
Sometimes molasses is bitter.
Oh,
The
I
bitterness is
love that
completely gone.
emote.
And you just have the sweetness, so it's almost like caramelly. That's really, really good. Okay, so here's what we need to do. This should be on many, many Thanksgiving tables.
Thing is, though, is I think after the current like couple of emotes I'm waiting on for QB to finish, I don't think we're gonna get any additional emotes until we get partner.
Somehow
Because we're already overrun with
dish it up
emotes.
before your guests see it and coat it with the whipped cream.
Like I don't even have all of my
Put the whipped
emotes
cream
on
It's fine. Put it
Twitch
in a bowl,
anymore,
put it in a little cup,
and I have
put
there's
the whipped
more
cream it.
on
You're
Discord.
gonna really, really like this. I promise.
Crumbled gingerbread. It doesn't even like look bready to me. Again, to me, I look at it and at a distance, it looks like chili almost.
Really, really good. That's addictive. Yeah, Indian pudding. You don't see it around very often anymore, but and I can see why, like visually. That's great. But
It looks like poo-poo.
I think it needs to make a comeback. At least in my household, it will. I'm going to be putting this on my Thanksgiving dinner table.
Ooh, that
Honestly,
actually sounds fun.
I doubted when I first saw it that a quote that I had
One
found
sticker slot
about
left in Discord, if I
how
remember correctly.
delicious
It's
this
something
dish
like
is
that.
would really hold up. But I gotta say,
Let me see.
I agree with the 1811 Newsboy's address to his patrons that says Indian pudding, which by odds exceeds the ambrosia.
Yes,
of
we
the
have a
gods.
single sticker
So
left.
yeah, make your Indian pudding. Check out the pins in the link in the description, and I will see you next time on Tasting History.
Okay. All the names. Anyway, wait. You're cute and all, but you can't have my coffee? That's a hilarious name. All right, chat. Do we want to do another Tasting History? Or let's see what Dancing Bacon has right now, because we have not looked at Dancing Bacon in weeks. Oh god, there's an octopus. Okay, I think we have to do the unique hot pot meal. Wait, where are they? Okay, they are at a restaurant. Shopping at an AI supermarket. Christ. Honestly, I think we'll probably actually have time to do both, so we could actually do another Max Miller. Let's see. Is there anything relevant moderately, or are we gonna do fulsome key lime pie from 1933? Medieval pork from 1390. Ooh. You know what? Yeah, we'll do the medieval pork.
During the Middle Ages,
and we'll save Dancing Bacon for last. Key lime pie? You want the key lime pie?
Property.
You don't want to learn about the killer pigs and why pork probably wasn't eaten by so many religions? Spam loaf. Spam loaf? Spam loaf.
And slaughtering innocent children. But it was also their main source of meat, the pig. So today I'll be making
God,
a
the way that they're
14th century
drawn.
recipe for pork loin.
Yo,
as
look
I
at the
tell you
fat
of
around the
crimes and
skin.
trials of pigs in the Middle Ages, as we enjoy some medieval pork. This
It's time to
on
send the
Tasting
pigs to
History.
court.
When you read through
Oh, it
medieval
was. It was
cookbooks,
one of the ones, and then I
most
saw the
common
pork
meats
one.
that you'll encounter is pork, whether it be in the form of fresh meat, bacon, salt pork, sausages, hams, or lard. And unlike pork,
I don't even know how to say that name. But welcome aboard. How are you doing?
That was available to most people, at least for part of the year. But while a peasant might be able to get
Hey,
their
drunk,
hands
how
on
are you
plain
doing?
pork pie or a slab of bacon, today's
Wait, was that you
recipe,
that followed?
which
Because
includes lots
over
of
here
spices,
it's
would have only been available to the wealthy, as it was written
NXBJBXJDU.
in the form of curry, compiled by the
Which
chief master cooks
I
of
have
King
no
Richard
idea what that's
II
supposed to
in
be.
1390. Cormarie. Take coriander, caraway, small ground, powder of pepper, and garlic ground in red wine. Muddle all
What
this
is this
together
art?
and salt it. Take loins of pork raw and flay off the skin, and prick it well with a knife, and
It was
lay
not
in
you?
the salt.
Okay, just had to make sure.
Roast thereof what thou wilt, and keep
Yeah, that
which
was the
falleth
person's name.
therefrom
I just
in the
I don't know what they're
roasting,
supposed to
and
be, or
seethe
they
it in a
followed.
little pot with fair broth, and serve it forth with the
Why are you
roasting
throwing
knife.
controllers
So it's
again,
a pretty
Ortine?
simple dish of
Did you
marinated
lose this
roasted
money
pork
in
loin.
Mario
But
Kart
what made
again?
it special from a medieval point of view.
Hey, yo,
is
the mammoth swine in the
amount of
back.
Spices being
Sorry, not
used,
mammoth swine.
like coriander and caraway, which had to come all the way from southern
Pillow
Europe,
swine?
and black pepper, which came all the way from India. So while these flavors might seem pretty
Okay, but
tame
that
by
color
today's
distinction feels
standards,
way
to a
off.
14th century
I don't think
commoner,
Indian
they
people
would
were
have
that
been
dark.
Pretty extraordinary.
Probably.
So, to wow any medieval peasants who might come your way and
Yeah, pillow
might
swine.
eat, what you'll need is 3
Mammoth
to
swine's
4
my
pounds
favorite.
or 1.5 kilograms of pork loin.
I
1
found it
tablespoon
funny.
of
Why are you
coriander,
dink-donking
2
me?
teaspoons of caraway seeds, 1 teaspoon
Oh.
of black pepper, 1 teaspoon
Fresh
of
ground
salt,
black pepper.
3 cloves of garlic, 1 bottle of red wine. I went for a light Bordeaux, and 1 cup or 235 milliliters of
Okay.
beef broth. Now, while the recipe is
Beef
pretty
broth?
simple, it does take some
Like
time
beef
to
broth.
make the marinating and all
Yes,
of that.
and what can I do
As
for
our
you?
medieval Cormarie,
Can I borrow some money?
or
I have no
Cormarie,
money.
Depending on how you want to pronounce it, it takes a little bit more work. So let's
I'm
start
known for being
with the
random.
marinade.
True.
Make sure all of your spices are pretty well ground up, and then mix them together in a bowl. The coriander, the caraway, the pepper, and the salt, and add in the garlic, either minced or crushed. Then whisk all of that together and start
Okay.
to add in the wine. And start off with just a couple cups of the wine. You may not need
I
the
want to
full
get one of those
bottle,
garlic
and you
presses
don't wanna waste
because
that
I am
wine,
so tired of
don't need it
mincing my own
because you can
garlic.
drink that all by its lonesome. And you can put the marinade either in a bag or in a dish, and you'll get a better idea of exactly how much you need. As for the pork itself, the recipe says to prick it well with a knife.
Okay.
This isn't standard in today's cooking methods, but it will let the marinade penetrate a little bit deeper. Then set the pork in the dish or
Well,
the
true,
bag
but it's
and
also
coat
like
it with
I'm gonna
the
guess
marinade,
pork in
adding more wine
1390
if
was
you
gonna
need.
be a
You can also
lot
flip the
tougher.
pork over once in a while just to make sure it fully
Not
gets
nearly as
marinated
fatty
all over.
as
Or
the
if you
meat
use
that
a
we
bag,
have
it's actually going
from
to
our
be a lot
pigs.
easier. Either way, let it marinate for at least a couple hours.
28
preferably
stab
overnight in
wounds!
the fridge. The next day, you can take it out of
99%
the marinade
stress.
and pat it dry, and then it is time to cook the pork. Ideally, you're going to put this on a spit over or next to an open flame. But
We're just gonna use the
my
oven, aren't
goal
we?
with this channel is always to make recipes that you can recreate in your kitchen. And I'm thinking most people don't
Do you
have
use
an
an
open
experience?
fire in their kitchen. Cool if you do, but most people don't. So we're
From the
going to
quarry, so that was probably an
emulate that
option we had
open
to pick.
flame that's going to create some char by first searing the pork. So bring a large pan to a high heat and add just a little bit of oil, and then
I'd
set
rather
the
raise the
pork in
stripper than
fat
work at
side
Walmart.
down and let it
Correct.
cook for 2 to 3 minutes, and then flip and repeat on
Ooh.
all sides, including the ends, until there's a nice crust. And if it gets a little bit of a char, that's a bad thing. Then remove it from the pan and set it in the roasting pan with or without a rack. You could actually even use the same pan that you
Okay.
seared in. And then ladle a bit more of the marinade on the top and set it in the oven at 375 Fahrenheit or 190
Cool,
Celsius.
1000 is the best.
for
If I
40
ever
to
get a
60
Snickers that
minutes.
doesn't have its
The
stick
length
paint,
of
I'm
time
not
that
gonna
it needs
eat
to
it.
cook is really
Listen.
going to depend on the size of the piece of pork.
Oh, you would for
It's
sure,
about
Sam.
15 to
For
17
sure.
minutes per pound, but it
You're
really
less
does
likely
vary.
as
The
a
best way to
single
tell when it's
person
done is to insert a
to go
thermometer
on food
into the
stamps
center
as
of
a
the
stripper
pork.
than you
You're
are if you
looking
work
for
at
it to be about
Walmart.
140 degrees Fahrenheit, maybe a little bit more. It is going to continue to cook even after you take it out of the oven because you
Skull
want to
Tap.
get it to
How
about
are you doing?
145 degrees Fahrenheit.
Show
Also,
me
if
the
it starts to
bottom.
burn on the top at all, just put a piece of foil over it. Once it's at temperature, take it out and let it rest for 10 to 15 minutes
Crispy.
before slicing. And while it rests, take the drippings from the pan and put them in a saucepan along with the cup of beef broth.
Good
Then
Lord.
You can put this over a low heat to simmer. It's not going to become a sauce, but more like a jus that you would get with a French dip. And while the meat rests and the jus warms, I just wanted to remind you of the Tasting History newsletter that you can sign up for at tastinghistory.com.
Josh.
And I can lift the curtain on the
Rare
darker
tier
side
quotes?
of the
Oh,
medieval
no.
So before we get into the menace,
Just put out every quote and have people vote on their faves. All what? What quote are we up to right now? 1,000 and something?
Dolly Jorgensen. It's a splendid deep dive into a really niche topic, and I always love that kind of book, and it was written really entertainingly, so I'll put a link to that in the description.
Need a mythical pool? I think the I'd rather be a stripper than work at Walmart is a pretty mythical pool.
Pink pigs like Babe. But that's actually a relatively new development.
Oh my god, it's been so long since I've seen Babe. I used to have that on VHS.
At least in Europe, most domesticated pigs looked more like their
saw
wild
that.
counterparts. Not so fat, covered in bristles, and sporting long snouts and fearsome tusks. Can you imagine if
Brother, may I have
like
some
animated based on that description? Not so cute, but I would love to see that. If anyone knows how to draw Porky Pig based on that, that'd be interesting to see. Anyway, if these beasts were so unattractive, why were they so popular?
I'm being really nice to her, when in all reality, just sort of...
They were a great source of meat, both in and out of
I don't even remember the context for that one. And the fact that you cut it off makes me think it was something like I would really just want to blow her up or some shit like that.
Fecund, meaning that they have lots of babies, and most importantly, they will eat absolutely anything. A family could feed their pig on their leftovers, or the dregs from making ale, or old fish, or bad dairy, or pretty much any bracken that grew in nearby forests. Then, in October and November,
It's also probably why these pigs look so different. They're much scrawnier,
falling from trees
closer to like
didn't eat. Often you had to
javelina?
get permission to let your pig
Although javelina's
feed
from South America,
on the
if I remember
acorns
right.
of trees that belong to other people. It was called the right
But they're
of
all great. I like the
tonnage,
Walmart
and
one
then you
too.
would just pay that person, usually in bacon, from the then
Paused
fattened
and
up
blow
pig.
her because of
There
a
were
raid?
numerous
Oh, I
medieval
did.
images
Oh,
showing
shit.
swineherds
Oh,
knocking acorns
shit.
from trees just so their pigs could get their fill. Truly,
Can we do a
the perfect
2025
farm
best
animal,
quote? Oh, we'd have to go through the whole
because
list.
Many medieval people felt that pigs were really only good once they were prepared for the dinner table. Hence the 14th
We could do it.
century
We could probably
French
do it at the end of the
poem, which
year.
refrains,
Oh,
"A pig
goodness.
does no good
I
in
could
its
probably
life."
go back
So
to
why
the
these
quote
animals
system
did
and
so
find the
much
ones
to
where like
people,
2025 starts,
were
and we can
they
just go
also
forward
so
from there.
wild? Well, first of all, they stink. Especially in towns and cities, raising pigs was a constant source of foul odors, and any animal which eats a lot also produces a lot of manure. And to the contrary idea that medieval people didn't seem to mind everything stinking.
Well, no, it was,
they
everything
did,
stunk and everything was
actually
awful, but there
odor
really wasn't much of
a
anything you could do
big
about it.
issue because they had noses just like we do today, but they also had the belief that odor transferred illness. So throughout Europe, there were laws
At least no
about
chat quotes
how
are
you had
allowed.
to clean up after your pigs. Typically, if you had a
I don't think
pigsty,
I think
it had to
like
be
the
kept
number
in
of
such a
quotes
way
we've
that
taken
the
directly
neighborhood
from
is not
chat are like
exposed to
single
stench
digits.
or foul air. This often meant that it had to be placed behind your house, away from the road, and far away from any drainage ditches which might carry water. In the city of Norwich, England, in the
I remember
14th
Procrastination
century,
Genius have
Saturday
mad
afternoons
deadlines.
were
Oh,
set
good lord.
aside for everyone in town to clean out their pigsties. A lot of other places.
It's the first of
made rules that you
2025,
could only transport
which is not a
manure
lot. It
at
really
night
isn't.
when
That's
there
only
were
like
fewer
100
people
quotes.
out on the road to smell it. Other laws
I think our
dictated where
qualities
and
for what
when
good
you
quotes
could
are has
scald
risen.
your pig. That is a process of removing all of the bristles after they've been slaughtered, because the process supposedly really stinks. Hence, in 15th century Coventry, it was written that every butcher could scald his swine with a common scalding house or 20 shillings fine. In London, the punishment could be really quite steep.
Oh, okay, yeah,
In
that's 2024.
1365,
That's
after
December
breaking some
30th.
of these rules, William Baldwin, tanner, entered into a bond of £100 to the commonalty that he would not in future rear pigs in the city.
They
He
paid
also
him to
paid a
not
fine
raise
of 20
pigs.
shillings and was given a week in which to remove his pigs from the city. In many cities, there were laws about exactly how many pigs you could own. Like in Ulm, Germany, a person could have 24 pigs, while in Bratislava, you were limited to 2 unless you were a butcher, but even then, you only got 4. There were even some cities, like Coventry in 1423, where
That's a
swine
lot
were
less, but I guess you could
banned
make it go a
altogether.
lot further
Now,
with a whole
all-out
pig.
bans were rare because so many people depended on pigs to eat, but they did happen. One of the largest pig bans took place in 1489 when the Duke of Bedford...
Mind you, reminder, this is also the point when Christianity is the full dominant religion over Europe.
Produce mortality, fevers, and pestilence throughout the city. Many citizens
and more than likely why both Judaism and Islam bans pigs
but rather a flare-up of plague in Dublin,
is likely for reasons very similar to this.
Odor transferred the plague and other illnesses, so
because of just how awful they are.
Besides their odor, pigs were also quite rightly seen as animals of destruction.
Yeah,
because with their
snouts and their tusks, I just cut off his head. I didn't kill him.
He
was already dead.
Around in the dirt.
Oh my goodness.
In 1354, the pigs of Norwich
were
in my
mouth.
Of wrecking houses, destruction of gardens, and others when buried.
No, my whole keg.
That is, the swine would go into cemeteries and dig up fresh corpses to munch on. And this was a big issue in a lot of places, and so there were a lot of laws.
Oh yeah, pork goes bad very quickly. They're extremely prone to parasites. They're a pain to raise because while raising them, like here,
they needed to stay.
Like he said, also led to illnesses and diseases and stuff. And then what's worse is once they were butchered and you ate them, you could probably get even sicker. Which is why, like, a lot of religions kind of banned them, or at certain times around history in the regions that they were prevalent, banned them, unless they had proper practices to make sure that they were good enough to eat.
Penned up unless they were being escorted in or out of the city by a swineherd.
Use the actual command, we'd have the quotes. True.
Places, the pigs were required
it's also prior to 2025 or 2024. We would have longer and more streams.
Around in the dirt. Alas, despite all of these efforts to stop the pigs from wandering the streets, it did happen somewhat frequently, and they caused havoc. In London, King Edward II sent a writ
you can't show that on Twitch!
enjoining them to see that the pavement of the city is repaired, the streets cleansed, and freed of vagrant pigs. The general rule in London was if you found a random pig wandering the streets, it was okay if you killed it. And then the owner of said pig had to pay you 4p. And in Colchester in 1488, it was decreed that no person, whatsoever condition or degree he be of, burgess or foreign, be so bold or hardy to keep any boars, sows, or any other manner hog wandering or rooting in the common streets of the burgh aforesaid, upon pain of forfeiture of the same. Your errant pig would be taken to the moot hall and auctioned off, and the proceeds would be split 50-50 between the person who found the pig and the King of England. So basically, catching pigs could become a full-time job.
Chat, you want to go catch pigs?
Make sure that those pigs aren't wearing a bell. See, in 1131, the French prince was killed when his horse collided with a pig in the streets of the city.
Okay, that's kind of pathetic.
In abundance of caution, an order was issued forbidding pigs in future to be kept in the streets. But the monks of St. Anthony, remonstrating against it, were allowed the exclusive privilege for theirs, on condition of their hanging a bell around the neck of each.
That's...
Later, when the monks of St. Anthony's founded...
Can you imagine explaining in an afterlife somewhere, how did you die? Oh, my horse hit a pig in the middle of the road. You're gonna get laughed at for the rest of eternity. I'm sorry. Pigs violating Twitch TOS. I should use pigs more as random encounters in D&D. Yes, you should. I'm now just getting flashes of fucking Ganondorf with this video now with all the pigs mentioned. It's fine. Hog hunting? Ooh.
In cities from Austria
I mean, we do have
England,
wild pigs around me.
The rule followed along, and for centuries, any bell-wearing pigs of St. Anthony's were allowed to roam the cities at will. But I suspect, being hogs of the hospital...
Something 30-minute pig orgasm, something 3-day ban. No!
...of the crime so heinous, which so many medieval pigs were capable of.
Murder?
Murder. According to the coroner's inquest in Oxford, Sunday, May 7th, 1392, it came to pass on Sunday, after the feast of St. John, that Agnes, daughter of
combust into flames. Well, ordains on fire.
By a sow in the parish of
anyway.
St. Giles. The sow ate the head of the said Agnes even to the nose, and so she died, and the sow was arrested. It reminds me of that so very upsetting scene from the movie Hannibal. It's a good movie, though. Anyway, this was unfortunately a rather common
Wait, the movie Hannibal or the TV series?
It wasn't daily, but it happened enough
TV series is
that
fucking
in many
fantastic. If
places,
you haven't seen Hannibal, go watch Hannibal.
Pigs caused more deaths than wild animals, including the wild boar, and often the victims were children. In Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, he writes,
why is that pig playing bagpipes?
The child right in the cradle. And when I hear about this, I can't help but think of that Simpsons episode with Troy McClure.
Fratton? Is that what it said?
A cow, not a pig. But he says,
"Don't kid yourself, Jimmy. If a cow ever got the chance, he'd eat you and everyone you care about."
Now, with all of these deaths at the hands, or rather snouts, of pigs,
I don't know about that.
raises a question which was both asked and answered in the 15th century by a
pigs,
French
probably.
jurist. If a brute animal commits a crime, as pigs sometimes do who eat children, should it die? I say that it does. And in France and many parts of Europe, but mostly in France, this meant that the pig was to go on trial.
Put the pig in the
Time
stand.
and time again, medieval documents recount the trials of pigs, often ending in their hanging. One of the most interesting
Why
is from
hang the pigs?
1403, and it's a bill from a
Why not
bailiff for the
just
expenses
butcher
incurred
it?
for the incarceration and subsequent execution of an infanticidal sow. This included the cost of keeping her in jail, item to the master of high works, who came from Paris to Moulins to perform the said execution, for the carriage to take her to justice, for the cords to bind and hale her, for gloves, tout denier par ici. One of the most well-documented cases
hilarious.
took place following an incident on September 5th, 1379.
Afterwards, we ate the condemned as per tradition. I think at the point, though, where they were so stressed out that they finally died from hanging, the meat is not going to taste good.
For some reason, one of the piglets squealed, and 3 sows in the herd freaked out and charged the son of the swineherd. And they knocked him over, and it caused him injuries, which then led to his death. Well, the 3 sows were put on trial and condemned to hang for the crime. But as both herds had hastened to the scene of the murder, and by their cries and aggressive actions showed that they approved of the assault and were ready and even eager to become participes criminis, they were arrested as accomplices and sentenced by the court to suffer the same penalty.
Maybe the cruelty enhances the flavor. Hold on.
Over the potential loss.
That's actually a thing. That's actually a thing that we know, Chromatic. Cruelty and stress at the time of death evidently and objectively makes meat worse. That is a known fact. Yep. It is a known fact that if you stress out an animal before its death, it tastes worse than if it is basically killed, surprisingly, with no chance to flood its system with those sort of stress hormones. We applying laws to animals better than people? Welcome to the medieval era.
Of his entire herd of pigs that he petitioned Philip the Bold, Duke of Burgundy.
If you ever get the chance, get 2 different kinds of meats. Get halal meats and get whatever regular meat that your grocery store sells. And I promise you will be able to tell there's a difference.
Put to death. And Philip the Duke agreed, and he
halal
sent
meat
a
is
letter
so much more tender.
Actually still survives. It says, "We, inclining to his request, have by special grace granted and consented, and by these presents grant and consent that in doing justice and execution of the said 3 sows and 1 of the pigs of the said prior, that the remainder of the said pigs be set free."
Oh, so they did a sin eater situation.
Rare occurrences, but,
they sin eatered the pigs? That's crazy.
Of records that document these trials from the 13th all the way through the 18th century, and even some in the mid-19th century. I guess it was only then
500
all of
years
Europe could agree that animals should not be held accountable for their crimes. And if
I mean, considering the one pig that knocked the prince off his horse, that is not the pig's fault. That's the prince's fault.
It didn't stop people from raising them because they were such a wonderful.
Yeah, Ordain's on fire. We're just kind of leaving him.
Many people, and so there are so many
just kind of leaving him
of pigs being eaten, both archaeological record and
written cheesecake or suitable cheesecakes. That's your delectable meatball. Ooh, hi, unforced monkey.
So once the pork is rested for 15 minutes or so, go ahead and slice it up and serve it forth alongside the jus. And here we are, a pork dish of courmarier from the kitchen.
The close-up on the fat right underneath the first layer.
On the outside, I got the end cap, which is always my favorite piece. So here we go. Dip it in a little bit of that jus.
Stenographer? I wonder, would they do stenography, or do they, do you think people go to the meetings and then leave and then write notes on it?
The itself is wonderfully tender.
You think they had a stenographer in courts? I feel like it was more like people just recording their own stuff about the meetings.
Mild, very subtle.
And events.
It's definitely there, but it is subtle.
I was going to say, you basically just had a wine-based marinade and then you grilled the meat. Of course, there's not much flavor to it.
It would penetrate all the way through because it is a really nice flavor. You get the garlic, you get the caraway a lot, and you can adjust the quantities of the different spices to be what you want it to be. I like caraway, and that is something that you usually don't find in a modern pork recipe.
Have a sale on halal meat. It's always a delight. I love halal meats. I have not been able to find a grocery store since I moved back to Texas
caraway was not as popular
that sells it, unfortunately.
the Tudor period.
I think Walmart actually sells halal meats, but I refuse to go to Walmart on principles.
But here
I refuse to go to Walmart on principles.
Using a lot more cinnamon
and I think it's mostly prepackaged stuff. I think it's something like a brand called like Crescent Foods or something.
The jus is quite nice. Actually, there's a lot of flavor there. Obviously,
that's probably where all the flavor is.
But then you get a lot of
considering most of the fat and stuff are rendered off in the baking process,
and from that bit of the marinade that we poured over it at the beginning.
Oh yeah, but there's
important.
Well,
it's going to
okay, yeah, there's probably some equivalent of stenographers.
This recipe is it's rather simple. It takes a little while.
It could have also just been newspapers.
The marinating, but other than that, it's very easy to make. It's a wonderful recipe.
Well, Doc is halal? Really?
Wanted to get into medieval
cooking. Oh yeah, no wait, I did learn about that recently.
Accessible. It's not.
One of my groceries is Muslim owned. That's sick.
Like, whoa, what is this? It's really accessible. I can see this on a menu today. So
yeah, I've tried looking around for halal meats in my city. There's just unless I go to Walmart and I have to get like I think it's the freezer section. I don't think they have any raw meats at Walmart. And there's no like a halal grocery store. There's restaurants. There's some like halal restaurants. There's like 2 Indian restaurants. And of course, Dave's Hot Chicken. Y'all have never been to Dave's Hot Chicken. It is a chicken sandwich place. Or well, hot chicken, quote, tenders, but they're fucking huge. That's halal. Every one of their branches serves halal chicken. Anyway, welcome to Dancing Bacon. Y'all want to go to a late night hot pot place? $65 hot pot place. Dai Tao Lollipop. All KFC in Canada are halal now? Not here. Not here, unfortunately. Oh, I forgot they have their own captions every time. Australia beef plates. Big head bursting. Baby octopus. Tiger prawns. Fried fuzak? What is fuzak? Tofu of some kind? Fried chicken wings. Pure honey in a jug. Oh god, what are we doing with the honey? We are now known as Tables 26. Sorry, Dancing Bacon, you're now Table 26. Oh. Charcoal hot pots. That is a lot of clams. Why did you drip it down the side of the... Okay. Okay. That would make an okay channel name. Table 26. Hey, listen, if you named any channel that's like about food and marked it as like table something or other, like that works. I've been wanting to try Dave's. It's really good. I like going to Dave's. It's just now the way to Dave's in my town is now under construction. They tore down one of the major bridges that went over that stretch of highway. And it fucking sucks now. Because they basically just extended the highway into 4 lanes. And then not 6 months later, they decided it wasn't good enough. And then cut it back down to 3 lanes so that they could rework the whole highway to eventually, in like 10 fucking years, become 5 lanes. And traffic is what's supposed to be less than like a 10-minute drive to get to Dave's is now a 40-minute ordeal. Okay, it's honey tea. I got you. It's honey tea. Too tedious of a drive away. Yeah, mine that would usually be an easy drive to get to, just straight down the highway, basically. And then right back is now a 40-minute ordeal because of the start and stop traffic this has caused. I'd love a dining experience like this. I would, oh my God, that looks so good. That's some crispy looking chicken. Oh. Oh man, am I gonna go out to eat tonight? Do I want to go out to eat tonight? Technically, all I have to do is some cleaning. The anti-fly traps, amazing. Chili sauce. Oh, he's gonna do the thing he always does where he gets like a little bit of everything. 3 different kinds of chilies. Garlic. Always get the garlic, baby. Green onions. Those are looking a little dry, so they've probably been there a while. Cilantro? Coriander. I always get those mixed up for some reason. Vinegar, sesame oil, and then soy sauce? Oh, he didn't get the soy sauce. Here's your s'more. Obligatory Marin goes out and does food and fun. I'm not much, like, I could always go to, like, there's a food hall in town, and I've gotten to the point where one of the guys that works there, he knows me by name now. And he tries to guess what my order is going to be for the day every time. And it's kind of cute. It's kind of cute. How's Digimon going? I am at like the boss rush towards the end. I have not played it in a long time. Maybe if we had time, I would play a little bit more. Oh, I'm thinking of doing some TikTok streams during this week's like kind of holiday break. Because I can be really quiet during the TikTok streams and not care too much. And we can just play like Where Winds Meet or the Digimon game or anything like that. Just be kind of a relaxing, long, slow stream. Because I need to do some streams on TikTok so that I can actually get like the full features I need to be able to do the simul stream. Because right now it will not let me, goodness, virtual cam all this. Which is really fucking annoying. I have to do 3 streams in order to be able to use like virtual cameras or webcams on fucking I haven't been on TikTok for 3 years. No, that's fair. Thing is though, is I have like 6,000 followers on TikTok. And I've not uploaded a video in 6+ months probably. I'm thinking. Silent Maritime. It would just be really quiet. It'd be a lot like calmer. Oh yeah, we do not have 3,000 quotes. I don't want to use all 3 ramrods on those little things. Oh yeah. Because I had a weapon that was a ramrod, I think. That's what I remember. Oh my God, but I'm getting hungry. Oh no. Thing is though, do I want to go to my favorite food hall or do I want to go to Dave's? Push-ups again? Oh man. All right. We got to do 10 push-ups. Let's do this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. All right. Marin finally branching out, getting the eggs in baskets. What? What do you mean eggs in baskets? Thing is though, is I also need to go to the grocery store because, 1, I need toilet bowl cleaner because we don't actually have some. I have bathroom cleaner. I don't have toilet bowl cleaner. And what was the other thing? Oh, I need shower gloves. I need to get new shower gloves. Usually at the end of the life of like whatever set of shower gloves I have, I use them to clean my shower walls and stuff, and then I throw them away. And I did that a couple days ago, like 2 days ago, and I've already had 2 showers without my shower gloves. Those grocers that do pre-cooked chicken. Yeah, they have you're thinking of rotisserie chicken. Yeah. My grocery store does do that. Buddy, you know you're supposed to take the legs off of those things, right? Nah, it's not Costco. It's HEB because I live in Texas. HEB, here, everything is better. Today with the stream, true. Ooh, fried garlic. Wait. Threw the fried garlic into the hot pot? Okay, I guess. That's more clams. Y'all are eating so many clams. Okay. Most of those are already empty. I don't see the... Okay, there's some meat in there. Empty. Empty. That's the only one I see. Okay, no, there's some more meat back there. Hell yeah. Everything getting hot potted? Of course. Now for the greens. A rare sighting at the Dark Carnival, like a nature documentary, of course. And here we see the ringleader of the Dark Carnival finally eating for the day. Who knows what she will have? Who knows what she will search for afterwards? Who knows when her next meal will be? There's truly no telling in this great, wide carnival. Anyway, is the only store that I feel is decent in Texas. Walmart suck. Costco's expensive in bulk. I can't find an Aldi's. There is one Aldi's in my town. I don't know if Aldi's sells halal meat. I could go check that out. I know the back roads to get to Aldi's. But, yeah, HEB is a very nice grocery store. It's as big as Walmart. Generally better products, better foods. And HEB actually has an emergency response team. So not only do they like walk the walk or talk the talk about how much they care about the communities and stuff they're in, they actually walk the walk. Whenever there is a natural disaster in Texas or in neighboring states, HEB has an entire volunteer force that will respond to emergencies, bringing food and everything that they can to wherever the travesty occurred. But I'm gonna have dinner in like an hour and 40. Yeah, you gotta wait it out, bud. You gotta wait it out. Ooh. Ooh. Listen, there's just something about a soft, gooey, or soft-boiled egg. Is it... I missed it. Is it spinach noodles or were they lotus noodles? More broth. More scrimps. Chat, what are scrimps? Don't lie to me. What are scrimps? Scrimps is... I'll wait. Delicious? Also yes. Radioactive shrimp from Walmart. Radioactive shrimp from Walmart. Oh, that was the end. Jesus. Okay, that was fast. Huh. Oh, we've seen... No, we haven't. That's 13 days old. How much time do we got? Ah, no, that's 26 minutes. Chat. I think that's it. I think that's where we're gonna end it. I think this is gonna be the end of the week. We got time, never mind. It was 26 minutes. I didn't want to force y'all to go through another ad break before the end of stream, so... And plus, I gotta get to the grocery store before after work rush. It is 3:45. And I still need to get dressed to do that. I'm sitting here in a t-shirt and shorts. Let me get y'all the music. And we can figure out who the hell we're going to raid. Because I did not have any friend streams open right now. I did not open them. Maki's doing something with food and... Oh, Maki's cooking today, isn't she? I think I'm legally obligated to go over there. I think we're legally obligated to go raid... somebody who is making food. What do we want to do for raid message chats? We don't have a food-related emote that isn't the tier 3. What do we have? Do you want to do the grab emotes? Oh my god, the dog. He's so happy. We have the marinate. Marinate is tier 3 emote though. And like I think right now in chat the only people that have tier 3 is Sunstar. Hey, we're just gonna do give. Give food. Give food with the grab emotes. I will see you guys later. If I do any streams this week, it's going to be spontaneous. There's no telling when it's going to be. Keep an eye on the Discord if you haven't already joined it. There you go. Pig here. I've heard pig here the most of my life. Listen, you got to learn about how the meats you eat matter and what they do in their history. It's important. It's important to know things. But until then, guys, thank you for being here. Thank you for enjoying the show. I will see you later. I am going to go put on some, after I go to the fucking store to get toilet bowl cleaner, put on some rubber gloves and just Cinderella my entire house. I will see you later. Good night.